Hi, this is T. Franklin, and you're listening to Southern Fried Geekery.
1, 2, 3.
Jerry, you cool with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do you know what we just said?
Mm-hmm. You're going to read off the bullet points and we're going to chime in on them.
Are you on autopilot this morning?
Mm-mm. I'm good. I woke up at like 8 this morning and ate waffles.
I love waffles.
So you didn't want Klotchkes and donuts?
I did. I almost hoped that he didn't. I mean, I'm still going to eat this one, though. Cause
Jerry has this thing called a metabolism that none of us have.
I
don't have one for
slowed
damn
down
sure.
in my mid-20s so hard, though.
Fuck you.
No, it's like...
Skinny shit.
I do have a question. And granted, obviously I'm paying more attention now because I got a podcast about the subject matter.
Yeah.
But this is like the most packed San Diego Comic-Con, I think in a long time.
There's a lot
of
not
news.
just movie news, because even hanging around with you guys talking about San Diego, I don't remember this much.
Yeah,
this much news coming out of Comic-Con.
It's been packed. I don't know if it's. I mean, I don't know.
I said maybe I'm paying more attention, maybe, but
I don't know again if it's the same thing for me or not. But I feel like this
I feel like it's a lot more. I
think there's a lot more stuff coming out. Again, San Diego is there's a lot more pop culture stuff coming out.
Yeah. My buddy got
stuff
for sure.
A Bruce Timm original piece there.
Nice.
Yeah, apparently Bruce Timm brought a whole bunch of them pre-done. Mm-hmm. He said it was like making a drug deal. You had to walk up and he'd say, okay, what character do you want? And you'd say it, and his guys would be around you so other people couldn't hear, and you'd say it and they'd slide you the piece, and then he would tell you how much and you'd slide him the money, and then you walked off.
Gotta watch that black comic card, man.
He's like, it was straight up like a drug deal to buy it.
Bruce Timm is amazing.
Oh, it's pretty badass.
That sounds
nice.
Phenomenal. Oh, God, that looks great. I love Bruce Timm.
Bruce Timm's an amazing person.
He really is. Are y'all ready to do this?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, well, hey, y'all want to do a podcast?
Sure do.
Let's record one.
Let's do it. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Southern Fried Geekery podcast. As always, I'm Caleb Alexander McKenzie.
I'm Craig Lance.
I'm Sean.
I'm Jerry. How you guys feeling this week?
Man, it was good until 2 days ago when the storm apocalypse happened and my house decided not to have electricity forever.
Yeah.
It's good times.
It was crazy. Did you see the picture I posted of the fucking hail that we got at my house?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was quarter size.
It was ridiculous. I don't know. It's 175 billion degrees and I'm fat and I don't have any air conditioning and I hate it.
It's terrible.
Yeah, I don't have AC in my car. And I haven't since last year. So.
Basically, everything sucks, and then we die. But anyway.
But what's good is a comic book podcast.
It is, and it's awesome, and we're happy to be here. And we're happy to be in Craig's home with the delicious, delicious air conditioning today to do our 29th episode. And I'm pretty pumped about that. Hey, go back and listen to episodes 28. We talked about some stuff, and it was awesome. We also put out a bonus episode last week, and it covered Mr. Michael Tierney and the 100th anniversary art edition of... and I went blank.
You got
the
Tarzan.
Edgar Rice
Burroughs. And that's something that you definitely need to check out. It's a little pricey. It's running at $250, but it's worth it. It's over 5,000 pages, or no, it's over 12,000 pages. Sorry, it's a chunk. So
2 volumes. 4 volumes.
4 volume set covering everything, even the European stuff, and that was really, really cool. So yeah, go check those out. If you happen to swing by iTunes and want to leave us a review and a rating, that'd be awesome. And come visit us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We're there, and we'll tell you where you can find that later on the show because we want your undivided fucking attention because this week has been insane. Why has it been insane? It's been insane because San Diego Comic-Con is happening.
And we're not there.
And we're not there. Sorry, I'm tongue-tied this morning, and it's dumb. I think I had a stroke. I'm not real sure.
Heat exhaustion will do that to you.
Everything is bad and then you die. So, no, I'm just kidding. Actually, it's been a really good week. So, but yeah, San Diego Comic-Con is going on now. I think it's still up for grabs which one is the larger Comic-Con or the most heavily attended Comic-Con, it or New York. I think New York actually had more people there last year. So, but this one's definitely you get the full force of the pop culture influence of comics. And so we got together and said, hey, we're going to talk about news like we always do, but there's a shit ton of news. Like there is a metric that's an actual metric system. It's a metric shit ton of news, and so I think that's what we decided we're going to do for the first half of the show is just we're going to go through and dissect not all because there's no way to do all because it's insane. We're going to dissect a lot of the stuff that we found out or they showed or that got released while Comic-Con is happening. And as we're recording this, it's Sunday, so Comic-Con is still happening. So there are probably things that's going to happen today that we're not going to get to talk about because we're not there and we don't know, and it's West Coast time. But, I mean, just in the last 3 days, it's been an astronomical amount of stuff.
And make sure you stay tuned into our Facebook page and our social media because we are constantly updating with new news stories that are coming out of Comic-Con.
Absolutely. Like it's just been flowing through there. I can't even keep up. Every I get like 17 notifications.
We're trying.
And
We're trying to keep up.
It's awesome. Let's dive into it. You guys ready?
Yes,
Do
sir.
this, I'm gonna crack my knuckles. There we go. That was weak. Anyway, all right. So let's start with the TV side of stuff. See, Sean, you're better at that than I am. It's because you're burly and manly.
That's what I do.
Everyone is more burly and manly than me. It's a thing. All right. So let's start off with the TV side of things. One of the first things that happened was some Batwoman news, which I'm really excited about. She's in my top 5 characters of DC characters. I love her. Kate Kane is just really cool. She's a big influence on me as far as my reading goes. Love that character. She's going to be showing up in the Arrowverse, in CW's Arrowverse. So it's kind of the Green Arrow. It's a,
It's the DC verse that's on CW.
Yeah.
They just call it
Probably
the
best
Arrowverse.
Small
Yeah.
screen. I mean, even I feel like it's better than the big screen DC universe.
I think it's leagues better.
Easily.
But
Yeah.
the cool thing about it is they actually announced, I guess, earlier this year that the next crossover that they're going to have for the Arrowverse stuff is going to bring in Gotham. So then this week they announced, not only are we bringing Gotham, but we're going to bring in a Batwoman.
Well, that makes
TV
sense
show.
because, I mean, and I don't mean this as a complaint, it's just an observation, really. Arrow's been more like low-budget Batman the entire time. They've been using Batman villains. They've been using, I mean, it's cast like Batman. There's
He acts
the
like
team
Batman
element.
instead
He
of
acts
Green
like
Arrow.
Batman. It's just basically been Green Batman, so that's fine.
With an
and
arrow.
That's not a complaint. That's it's
Or a bow.
been pretty rad, and I'm glad to see them bring Batwoman into that because I think it fits. I think Batwoman is kind of a dark, gritty, violent character at times, and I think that she fits perfect in kind of that world. It wouldn't make sense in the Flash.
Well, in current continuity, she's actually tried to kill, so it's
she actually, she has killed, and
she did, but it didn't take.
yeah.
So
Well, it's not her fault. She tried. She tried real
that's
hard.
what I mean.
She shot
So
Clayface
I
in the
think
head.
she fits in that dark, grittier world a little bit better than for say Batman.
But not only is she showing up, she's showing up. Not
That's where
only
she
is-
shed on fire.
Not only is she showing up in the Arrowverse, she's getting her own show.
Yeah.
And we don't know the specifics on that yet. Not sure who's show running it or directing it. I don't think, unless that's been released and I just missed it. But she's getting her own gig, and that's rad. So we're finally getting a Bat character on the small screen, kind of full time. And I always thought it would be Grayson. I always thought it would be Dick that we were getting that, but
Well, we are, but that's in a different thing.
kind of.
More on that later.
But yeah, we're getting a mainstream female lesbian Bat character
Yeah.
on the show, and that's got me super hyped.
And it's kind of cool because I think the last time they actually mentioned like Gotham and stuff was when Huntress showed up in Arrow. But the cool thing about this is they're essentially, it looks like they're going to start it off like they did Flash and Legends of Tomorrow, where they're going to have her pop up debut in the big crossover this winter, and then they're going to have like a little short season for
Right.
like a half season, and then they'll probably, depending on how the ratings go for that, I'm sure it's going to be great. They're probably going to start her own series off of that.
Yeah, if she doesn't have a buzz cut, I'm calling bullshit.
I'm just glad that the CW is finally going to have a Bat character to write all their Bat, to use in all their Bat stories they've been writing for Arrow seasons.
Yeah, pretty much. And again, yeah, because
I'm glad.
that's basically been what it is.
And it's a good character, and like I wish I would have thought about it because it just popped in my head. So I hope I'm not wrong and lying to all you good people listening out there. I believe the casting call for Batwoman even specified not as specific. It could be a woman of color. It could be anything. So they
I'd
may
be cool
even.
with that,
they
man.
may-
I mean,
oh, yeah.
there's so
So
much you
they're
can
being
do
very
with that.
open in their casting, which is good.
One of the things that I'm hoping for is Renee Montoya being in it.
I hope so. And the reason that connection, for those of you who don't know, Batwoman, Kate Kane, and Renee Montoya were lovers for a hot minute. And
Right.
then Renee Montoya became the Question, and it kind of throws back to some comics, but just briefly, in the Batwoman comic this week, Renee Montoya showed up.
Ooh.
She popped in just in time for the ending of that series, just in time for that series to end.
I would imagine with the show, we're going to get a new start on Batwoman on the comic.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
definitely. I mean, and I feel like that's the only thing that kept the Green Arrow comic alive for the longest time. When New
Jeff
52,
Lemire.
Well, I mean, he helped it, but when New 52 started up, that series could have been canceled. So
Oh, yeah.
quick. But that's around the same time that the Arrow TV show started. So it got like the whole 52 issue treatment, and it's still going.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's jump over to the Marvel side of TV. At San Diego Comic-Con, the second season of The Gifted got a trailer release. Now, I don't know. I know Jerry's watched it. Have any of you guys watched
I
The
have
Gifted?
not.
I have not watched it.
Really, really, really good mutant-based X-Men themed team show.
I'll take it back. I watched the first couple of episodes, and then I'll get back to it. I just haven't finished it.
They do some weird stuff with continuity. I mean, they're bringing in the Stryker children, which I don't know if the Stryker children were a thing in the comics, but I definitely know that they weren't mutants themselves or good guys. But I mean, you're getting characters like Blink. You're getting characters. I think it's Warpath or Thunderbird.
It's Thunderbird.
Thunderbird. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
those are brothers in the
And
in the-
Polaris.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's really good, and the trailer. It looks like they're going to do some really fun things in this next season.
Awesome.
They're not afraid to get a little bit violent. They're showing the team on the run. I'm kind of excited about this. It's
Very cool.
fun stuff. Fox actually is doing the X stuff decently on TV. So, bouncing back over to DC, Black Lightning season 2 trailer. Anybody watch that?
I haven't yet,
I haven't watched any of Black Lightning.
but I've watched Black Lightning.
What'd you think about season 1?
It was great.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I kind of going into it because the trailer for the first season, like his daughter was narrating, so I was kind of thinking that it was going to be like her taking over the mantle.
Right.
So it was interesting seeing him be Black Lightning through the whole first season and everything.
Well, that description
And-
makes
but-
me want a Black Hammer TV show.
Oh yeah,
Because that's kind of the same
Yeah.
thing. But yeah, no, for sure.
I think we all want a Black Hammer TV show.
I think that needs to happen. But I watched the trailer for this one. I haven't seen the first season, all of the first season of Black Lightning. It's on my queue. Again, don't watch a lot of TV, but
I haven't
want to.
watched it. I've heard nothing but good about
I've
it.
I've heard nothing but rave reviews of it. The trailer for the second season looks dope. It looks really exciting. It looks really fun. They do some cool stuff in there, and it looks like there's some really they have a really good cast. They have a really good cast.
Yeah.
I've heard very good things about the show. Like personally, I'm just kind of off all the CW stuff right now. But I've heard nothing but good about Black Lightning. It's on Netflix, so I mean I could binge it one of these days.
Yeah, and that's how I'm gonna go watch
Same
it.
for me. I'm with Sean. I'm just kind of off the CW stuff. It's for the time being.
it's hard to keep up. Because I mean, they had 4 shows in the Arrowverse, and then Black Lightning made their 5th show, and then now they're going to be bringing in Batwoman.
Batwoman.
So
Yeah.
you're going to have 6 shows on the CW alone to keep up with.
I'm caught up on Flash. I think season 4. I just finished that. Really enjoyed that show. I love Supergirl. Excuse me. I quit watching Arrow a long time ago. I don't like Legends. Just in general, I think it's too. I don't know. Just it's too all over the place. And I haven't seen Black Lightning.
I would have liked Legends a lot more if they would have stuck to that formula of like going to a different time period and meeting different superheroes
Yeah,
from that time period.
Absolutely.
But instead, they kind of stuck to this whole thing of like, let's go here and fix some kind of aberrations going that's not necessarily caused.
It got a little too campy for me.
Yeah.
Which is sad because just for me personally, we're talking about queer representation. There's a couple of queer characters on that particular show that I really like, and they actually show them living their lives. And I don't know, just like I said, it was too campy, so I bounced. But all right, so this one is one I'm not so sure that I'm happy with. Josh Whedon's Buffy is going to get a reboot. I don't know that Buffy needs a reboot. If they were going to do like a continuation, if they were just going to, hey, we're getting a new Slayer, and like I don't know what they mean by the phrase reboot.
Well,
that's the thing for me.
When I was the one that posted the story, and I read a bit deeper into the article. It is a complete reboot. Joss Whedon is producing, so he's
Right.
involved in this project. But it is a complete reboot with a younger Buffy, and they are casting a young woman of color into the role.
Now, see, that I'm perfectly cool with that.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, I don't think anyone's necessarily mad about that, but the idea of a reboot, I can echo my wife, who is a huge Buffy fan.
Yeah.
And one of our listeners and commented on
it was
the
Mark Deal. I think.
Mark Deal, thank you. I could not remember who it was. Made a very good point, and like I said, my wife being a big fan, she agreed with him 100%. And you just kind of touched on that too. We don't think Buffy needs a reboot, but if you want to do a new Slayer in the same universe, as a young woman of color, fucking go for it.
Do it, yeah.
So I think the reason that they're doing a reboot instead of continuation is you have characters like Angel and I can't think of his name right now, the blonde one, Spike.
Spike.
So you have Angel and Spike and these guys that are eternal, that are now, 60 years old in real life and are unable to play those characters anymore. So if you're going to do something in that world, you have to not pretend that those two people don't exist.
That's true.
Or you have to kill them off. Or something of that nature, and those people are no longer able to play those roles in a convincing manner. Well, at least I know
Lee Marsters, is that his name?
Yeah, Boreanaz is, he was on Bones, and you can see his age. It's something Masters. I can't.
James
Marsters.
James Marsters.
Yeah.
And he's too busy being on Runaways.
So, I think that maybe that's why.
Yeah.
That they're doing a reboot instead of a continuation. I'm completely with you guys. I'd rather see a continuation and then, maybe take it to the East Coast where you're not dealing with that same group of people or something.
Yeah, I was going to say that would be how I would explain that those characters aren't there because if you do it in a different city, so if you do it in, like you said, on the East Coast, or if you do it in even New Orleans, you want to go dirty south with it. You just do it there.
Yeah.
And those characters just don't happen to live there.
You could do it that way, but if you do it in California, you're going to have to explain why the rest of them aren't there. So,
I wasn't ever really like a regular Buffy watcher. I think it was like a little bit before my time of watching stuff like that. I saw a few episodes, but I'm kind of down for it just to kind of get into it,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it is going to open the door
for a new generation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
See, I was more of an Angel fan than a Buffy fan.
Yeah.
I've seen every episode of Angel. That was my show. I loved it. I was mad when they took it off. I read the comics afterward. I'm really okay with them reopening the door to this universe, and Joss Whedon being in control of it makes me happy. So at least they're going the same route. Hopefully they don't just tell the same old stories with a new person in the role. Maybe, hopefully it's new stories.
That's kind of where I'm at. I don't need a rehashing of, although one of the scariest things I've ever seen on TV, hands down, one of the scariest episodes of any show ever was an episode called Hush.
Yep.
And it's horrifying. So if they want to give me another thing like that, I'm down for it. So,
Absolutely.
All right, bouncing back to Marvel. Iron Fist got a new trailer. Now, I think we've all spoken about this.
I think it's more of just like just a teaser.
Yeah, it's kind of just a teaser.
It didn't show very much. I think we got a better trailer was that episode of Luke Cage.
Yep.
Of what we're going to look forward to in Iron Fist season 2.
I agree.
He cut his hair.
He did.
Finn Jones got a little haircut.
That's what I got out of it.
His character was way more tolerable.
Yeah.
I was going to say, so I think we've all talked about this. As far as what we've seen from the Marvel Netflix stuff, I think Iron Fist probably hits down to the bottom of the list of our favorites. I know it does for me. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but Sean was nodding. Jerry was kind of nodding.
Yeah. Well, I agree. It's definitely, like, me just being a huge martial arts fan, I wanted to like it more than, like, upon retrospective on it, it kind of dropped to the bottom. It was just not overall a very good show.
It's probably at the bottom of my list, too, for the Netflix shows. But, that's like saying that the other ones are 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, and it's 2.
Right. It's by no means unwatchable. Or it's just it's not up to the par that the other stuff had.
Right.
We have a friend, Josh Ford, that is a huge Iron Fist fan, and that season makes him just want to, like, rip his hair out.
Right.
But it doesn't do that to me. I'm a huge Iron Fist fan, too. It didn't do that to me. I understood the stylistic thing they were going for. We've discussed it before. It didn't really work on that show to me. But I knew what they were trying to do, being an old Kung Fu movie fan.
Yeah.
I do want to say, though, like Sean was saying, what we saw from Luke Cage.
Luke Cage.
And what we saw in this teaser trailer kind of pumped about season 2.
Yeah.
I think that they are starting to figure out a little bit about how to run these shows and how to work these characters, because the second half of Luke Cage season 1 wasn't that great.
No.
The second half of Daredevil season 2 wasn't that great. But what we've gotten since then has been, in my opinion,
You didn't love Immortal Elektra?
No, I did love the Punisher.
I kind of feel like if they really wanted to, not to take away spotlight from either one of those characters, I would be 110% down with them making a Power Man and Iron Fist show.
I would too.
will.
Absolutely.
I feel like it would work a lot better with them just having a team-up show than them having separate shows.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
I think you're
but
absolutely right.
at the same time, I feel like they're doing really good representation of that community and everything in Luke Cage. And
But the thing about
I don't feel like we should take away.
The thing about that comic is it does take place in that same area.
Yeah.
It takes place in Harlem. When you have Power Man and Iron Fist together,
that's
it's a
true.
Harlem story.
And that episode showed
Yeah.
that they can work together, and I think it will hold up as a entire show. I think you're absolutely right.
yeah.
Because the weaknesses of Luke Cage is that he's in no danger until the main guy fights him. So having a more human person, granted it's Iron Fist, so he's not that much danger either.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, I think him and vice versa of a more interesting, developed character like Luke Cage counterbalances Iron Fist being kind of one-dimensional at this point. So yeah, I absolutely agree. I think Heroes for Hire show would be better season 3 for both of them.
Well, it's the same with the comic. The dichotomy between where the two of them come from makes them both see the world from different perspectives, like we've talked about before, opening up outside of your echo chamber. That's what the comic book does when you have Power Man and Iron Fist together. That's what the show would do.
Those characters play really well off of one another in the comic, and those actors have a really good on-screen chemistry.
Yes.
So here's what I hope for the future. If I could be the evil overlord of all things, I would put, like Jerry said, I'd put Power Man and Iron Fist on their own show, and I'd give Shang-Chi a show.
Ooh.
I'd have Shang-Chi, the Master of Kung Fu, take that space of the Iron Fist singular show, or I'd give the Daughters of the Dragon their own show, because I'd love to see that. But I am excited for Iron Fist season.
I want to see Domino coming on to Shang-Chi on television.
giving them a team-up show would leave all that extra money from producing 2 shows to produce something new.
Right, exactly.
And I don't know. I feel like the next big team up thing that they need to do is Heroes for Hire.
I think so,
Absolutely.
and I think they're building well. And there were some one-liners in Luke Cage season 2.
Yeah.
That made me think that they're heading in that direction. That's the end road for these characters. Not the end road, but that's definitely a pit stop on the road for these characters. It's got to be. There's no way you can have Iron
Cage
Fist,
without-
Luke Cage. There's no way you can have. My brain shut off because that's what
Misty
happens.
Knight.
Misty Knight. These characters in that position and not have Heroes for Hire.
Yeah, and I think Heroes, after the way season 2 ended for Luke Cage, I think a Heroes for Hire would be kind of Danny trying to get him out from under. Because granted, we don't know where they're going to go with the next Luke Cage, but it ended on a very question: is he kind of going dark side?
Yeah,
kind of thing to it. So we don't know, but I think Heroes for Hire is a definitely good idea. Hashtag patty cake.
So sweet Christmas, but I only watched the first half of Luke Cage so far. I mean, not because I don't like it. I just haven't got around to watching the second half of season 2. But to me, the whole thing was setting up Heroes for Hire. It was almost in your face. This is, you need to make money doing this. Why aren't you marketing yourself doing this? It was very much setting that up, in my opinion.
You're going to enjoy it. And again, I want to say I'm looking forward to Iron Fist season 2 because not even just because of Iron Fist, but because I know that we're going to be getting more of the Daughters of the Dragon stuff.
Yeah.
I know we're going to be getting more of I forget her name, but
Misty Knight's going to be a season regular in it.
Yeah. Well, I was from the Daughters of the Dragon, but the lawyer, Carrie Ann Moss.
Yeah, I can't remember her character's name.
I can't think of her character's name, but she played. Right. She was one of the main characters in The Matrix. I really like that actress. I really like the character that she plays. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of her and more of her story because it's insane. So we're getting that. All right, getting away from Marvel and DC a little bit. Comic Con goers got their first look at Sci-Fi's Deadly Class series.
Yeah, they did.
And Craig, I know this is one of your favorite comics, so why don't you tell us a little bit about this?
I saw somebody post a meme that said, "Just stop! I can only get so big of an erection." Right. That's how I felt watching that show.
Just massive nerd boner.
It was, you're always apprehensive when a book that you love so much is getting made, because they can really fuck it up. Now, this one lends itself really well to a dark, gritty television show. And from that trailer, they nailed it. Having Henry Rollins as one of the teachers nails it, because it has a lot of... It takes place in the 80s, for those of you that don't know. So it has a lot of pop culture references to the 80s. It's kind of its thing. Not in an overhanded way, but because it's there, they're wearing punk t-shirts, they're listening to 80s music, a lot of references to that. So I don't think it's going to be like a Stranger Things, all of these pop culture references in your face because of the dark grittiness of it. But I'm really excited for this after seeing the trailer.
Awesome.
And even if you haven't read the book, this is going to be an amazing show from what I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, I've only read the first story arc, but just because of reading so much, I got behind on it, and now I need to play catch up. But Rick Remender, if you haven't read any of his stuff, he puts out some amazing stories. All of his Image stuff, I would completely recommend.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And this is one of those that's just absolutely amazing. And Wesley Craig does the art on it, which is amazing. The only thing I did notice that Marcus is a Latino in the comic book. It appears that it's either very light-colored Latino or a white guy playing him.
Hey, we exist, okay?
It is a thing, so I hope that they I hope that they keep that in there for that representation, for that culture. But if not, I don't think it kills the story one way or the other. But I would like to see them not fall into that trap that we've seen so many times on what could be an amazing show.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So the last thing on the TV news that I have right here, and there may be some...
Oh, sorry.
Well, and it's this thing. We're kind of split on this, so this should be a fun conversation. The Titans trailer. DC is launching their platform, their digital platform. I think it's going to cost somewhere around $8 a month. Actually, right now, you can pre-order for $75. You get 15 months of access. Part of that, and part of their flagship to push this release, they launched their Teen Titans trailer for the series that's going to be on that platform. Now, if you remember a while back when this first got announced, some set photos got leaked, and of the costumes, stuff like that. Big internet outrage. A lot of people took the opportunity to go ahead and just be really sexist and really racist about Starfire at that point in time. We spoke about that a little bit on a past episode. But now we have the trailer. I personally did not like what I saw on the trailer, and it has nothing to do with the characters. It has nothing to do with who is cast in the roles. It has everything to do with the tone of what we're seeing. You can go on and watch the trailer. I don't know. I think Justin Jordan said it best online the other day. You can have serious and you can have dark and gritty. Those things don't have to be the same thing. I want serious from Titans. I don't necessarily need dark and gritty. I don't need Dick Grayson saying fuck Batman. I don't need him going on a murder spree with a shotgun. Like, that completely steps out of what that character is for me. And so, I don't know. I also think this movie, or not this movie, I think, number one, that trailer made it look like a movie, not a series. But I also think this series reminds me of the original Birds of Prey series that ran for one season.
Yeah,
I love that series, though.
I loved it too, but this looked like it, and the difference is that was made 10 years ago, and this was made now. So it looked like it to me, and I just think it looks kind of dated and outdone. But Jerry actually really liked what he saw.
Like I said, I'm not a huge Gotham fan like you guys are. Not the show, but in general.
Yeah, the world.
Yeah,
Gotham world.
So, I don't know. My thing is, like, we don't really know any of the backstory or anything, like what's going on with Dick in this.
Nobody ever knows what's going on with Dick.
Yeah. We'll say all of I loved all the costume and character designs.
I think it looked great.
Everybody wants to bitch up and down about Starfire, and I think she looks fine.
Yeah.
Special effects and stuff that they use in it looks great. It would have been cool to see Beast Boy change into something in the trailer. That would have been great. But I'll at least give it the first episode treatment.
Yeah,
based
on
check it out.
Based on that trailer alone, it didn't convince me to sign up for their digital platform. But there are other stuff that they're offering did, so I might watch it and check it out.
Which I want to add after Titans.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're gonna talk about that a little bit. But basically, what I think about the whole, again, I agree with you that it looked great from the visual standpoint. It reminded me a little bit of like Suicide Squad, the movie. It was Suicide Squad looked great. Like it was pleasing to the eye. They won an Academy Award for costuming and design and stuff like that. The problem is it was all style and no substance.
Yeah.
And that's what I get out of what I saw in that trailer. Again, it's just a trailer. Kind of can't guarantee that that's what it is, but it gave you a pretty good idea of what they're going for. I do think the special effects around Starfire look great, but there's some other FX work in that trailer that I think look outdated and really cheesy. So I don't know. I just and also the lines that were delivered in that it felt like they were trying to push screws into the characters' thumbs to get them to say their lines.
Well, so Sean's the probably biggest Teen Titans fan out of all of us. So Sean, why don't you give us your take on it?
Right. I know we commented a while back on the set photos,
Right.
and all the negativity that's come from it, and I was one of the biggest defenders of, let's wait and see. You can't judge by behind the scenes. People complain that Beast Boy had green hair but not green skin. We already saw that in post. They turned him green.
Right.
Awesome. Costume's a good throwback to his Doom Patrol and early Teen Titans days. Starfire, yeah, they're going with a different look. They cast a woman of color for the role. Perfectly fine. What I'm having trouble with is I'm still not crazy about her look. That doesn't mean it's her final look.
Yeah.
But that's what we've seen so far. I can only go by what we've seen, and now the trailer has come out, and it is a trailer. I wouldn't call it a teaser because teasers are typically 30 seconds to a minute and a half.
It's a full-blown trailer.
It's a full-blown trailer, and that means this is what they're showing you to sell you on this show. It did nothing for me. It was forced grittiness. Not only was it just Robin saying "fuck Batman," it was that tight close-up. So like, look how edgy and extreme we're going. This is how it came off to me. They're pushing that. They're just. I said one of my biggest issues was Dick Grayson. He's not even my favorite Robin.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's like it just seemed trying way too hard. And with everything else that DC's been doing a bit better to get away from the typical grim, dark edgelord stuff they've been doing with their movies, this is just 3 steps backwards to me.
Yeah.
Like Teen Titans is known for getting dark. You can go into everything from the Judas Contract to Jericho, if you know Slade's son and all his goings with the Teen Titans. They go dark. They can go mature and adult. But this is just trying
but they go
to
dark tonally, visually. All
Yes.
that stuff was still very bright. If you go back and look at the Wolfman Perez stuff, you're
Absolutely.
still getting really bright colors. You're getting,
Well, what I'm talking about though is like the story, like what Jerry said. We don't know the full story,
Right.
and we don't because we don't know why Dick Grayson right now is mad at Batman and willing to kill people. Other than the fact that I still think they were just trying to write Red Hood and the Outlaws, but Teen Titans are more popular right now.
Kinda.
But I don't know the story. And and if someone wants to give me their password to the DC service, I'll give it that first episode. But nothing about the trailer, which is supposed to sell me on the show, makes me want to watch it.
I'm a big Batman fan, and as such, I'm a big Dick Grayson fan. I love the Nightwing series, all of them that they've ever done, the 3 that they've done. Didn't love the Dick Grayson spy thing. It wasn't for me. I hear it was great. I dropped off of it because I didn't like it. The thing about Dick Grayson is he's supposed to be the counter of Batman. Batman's the dark, gritty one.
Yeah.
Dick Grayson's the bright, full of life person that's always trying to do good. He does what's best for the Bat family, even at his own detriment. If Batman asks him to do it, he does it. He just trusts Batman to that extent.
Yeah.
I don't like I don't know why he says fuck Batman. I made some jokes about it. I don't really care that much about that as I do him wantonly killing people in a Robin costume. I get that from appearances in the trailer, he looks like he's a cop. And as the cop, if he had been killing people, just like him as a spy, I would have been fine. But him in the Robin costume shooting people is where I kind of drew the line. Having said all that, I'm absolutely going to watch it. I'm going to see what it is before I make a final, not a judgment, because I know exactly how I feel right now, and that's that I don't like the tone of it. But I am going to watch it, and I'm going to see. I feel like it's supposed to be Jason Todd, as Sean said, but they know that you got to start Teen Titans with Dick Grayson. The other thing that really bothered me about this trailer was how Raven comes to him, which is fine that she's coming looking for help, but she appears to be about 14 in this, and he's a full-grown man, and there was a lot of undertones, in my opinion, about their possible relationship, and it was a little creepy to me. But again, that was a trailer. I don't know how it's going to play out. It could have just been made to be looking dark and gritty, but that was, to me, the bigger problem than the guns.
And the bottom line is this. Like I said, the trailer didn't sell me, didn't make me want to do it. As with anything that I'm a fan of the franchise, when I see something I don't like, I hope I'm wrong. I want this to be good. I want there to be a good Teen Titans show. I want there to be better DC movies.
Right.
But just right now, that trailer did not make me want to go check it out. Now, like I said, if I end up getting the streaming service because there is a lot of other good content coming, I will totally watch it. But I'm not going out of my way at this point.
I did have a question, though. You compared it a lot to Teen Titans.
Yeah.
And it's based off of Titans, right?
It's being called Titans, but it's definitely the Teen Titans lineup.
Okay,
Right,
so that's my biggest thing, because so many people online are like, this isn't the Teen Titans I remember, but it's
based off of the
But
Teen Titans.
Titans was a
Okay.
later edition when some of the Teen Titans grew up, and it and they started getting new members into Teen Titans, which means yes, it did have some of the originals, but again, it feels like
Is it a big tone difference between Teen Titans and Titans?
I'm a Teen Titans fan. I flipped through some Titans books a while back. It just seemed like what eventually led to Red Hood and the Outlaws. Like they tried to go a bit more mature, maybe. Yeah. But like I said, it wasn't. But it was still Nightwing. Yes, I believe Nightwing was one of the original Titans founder. He still wasn't shooting people. He still wasn't saying "fuck Batman" in a tight, up close '90s
You have
grittiness.
a really good Batman voice.
Thank you.
Do what?
So because they have a Titan series going on right now, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So but it is like a little bit of
but when you and I see what you're saying,
Yeah.
why you're wondering about it, and it could be, and if they're going for it again, it's more of the confusing production that's going on because
they basically took the whole team of Teen Titans
and they're going to call it Titans
Yeah.
so they can say it's not your Teen Titans while we're going gritty. But when you look at, especially in today's modern Teen Titans lineup, this is literally I know
Except
they're
for
not
Cyborg.
Except for Cyborg, this is literally Teen Titans
I was
Go's
gonna say,
lineup,
and I think I'm
and that's
gonna-
intentional
I
because
think
they
I'm
know that's
gonna-
what sells. I think.
I think I'm gonna miss Cyborg being part of that team.
Yeah.
Because I still firmly think that Cyborg should be a member of the Teen Titans and the Titans. I honestly don't think Cyborg at this point in time needs to be on the Justice League.
He's a very
team.
important member of the Teen Titans.
Yeah,
They bumped him up. I mean, granted, like I said, he'd done his time in the comics. I can see why they did
Yeah.
it, but to me, he just hasn't been a significant Justice League member.
No,
Not as significant as he's been on Teen Titans for a long time.
Yeah, but anyway, like you said, it's a thing. We're gonna see what it does.
Yeah, I hope I'm wrong. I honestly hope I'm wrong.
So the show that might actually, Jesus, no, go away. That might actually get me into the streaming service.
Yeah.
One show is not going to make me pay that. Young Justice and the Outsiders.
Young
They
Justice and the
showed
Outsiders.
us a trailer of that, and it's been 5 years since the first Young Justice came out.
And not just the the new shows, which we're going to be getting into. I mean, they've already announced they're putting every episode of Batman the Animated Series, Justice League Unlimited. They're going to have a lot of good content.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I may still end up getting the service, then I will easily watch Titans and give it a try.
Since we're talking about the service, so I just want to throw out there that television and film are not everything that's going to be in the service. You're going to get a large amount of comic content.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Marvel Unlimited, but different. So they're also going to be giving you all of Batman the Animated Series, all the old Batman 66 television show, although they can't give you the Batman 66 movie because of licensing rights. And there's a whole thing that Bill Zanowitz told me about that, and that's fascinating.
It's weird because isn't that on Netflix?
No. I think it was at one
I have
point.
no clue.
I don't think it's on there anymore.
But yeah, so you're getting a lot with this. So I mean, that side of that part makes me want to add up or jump on it because you are going to be getting a lot of content. But I also don't do Marvel Unlimited, so I don't know if I will or not.
Yeah,
it's
but
just kind of up in the air.
Yeah, that Young Justice
Now,
trailer looked really
is
good.
Young Justice going to be a movie or a show?
No, it's show.
It's the new next season of the animated series.
Okay, I was
it's
thinking it was going to be a movie. I
essentially
actually had
season
it.
3.
slated to talk about it a little bit later. But anyway,
okay.
But we're here
That's why I
now.
wasn't
So
on there.
I thought that Titans was a movie when it first came out. I was just like,
Oh,
it's
you
a
do-
movie.
you do have it under the
you
Titans
see,
movie.
You see,
You do have it in the
Caleb,
movie
whenever
section.
you take something and you divide it up into 20 to 40 minute segments, that's called a show.
Is that how this works?
And an hour and a half to 2 hours, that we call that a movie.
Yeah, see, I just
Unless it's a
binge-watch all my
Sherlock.
shows.
Oh yeah, unless you're watching Sherlock.
Or the last season of Game of Thrones are going to be 2-hour episodes.
Yeah, I'm just saying that Netflix
So you fail.
gives me my
Jerry.
Netflix gives me my entire seasons at once.
Those
I
are
binge
obviously
watch
movie seasons, guys.
13-hour movies on
13-hour
Netflix.
movies.
13-hour
Yes.
movies.
And that's the way that works. All right, so that's what we've got on the television side of things. So let's move into movies. Birds of Prey. We just mentioned how they're going to have their own. They had their own one
Television
season
show,
television
yeah.
series years ago. We're getting a Birds of Prey movie now, and it's going to be kind of a. I know you're going to groan, but it's going to be a Suicide Squad spinoff.
Well, at least Margot Robbie, Harley Quinn.
Right, we're getting Margot Robbie, Harley Quinn. We're getting some other characters.
Is she going to be on the team?
Yes.
I don't know about
Oh,
this on
I'm
the
out.
team. She's involved.
I
And
like Margot Robbie.
here's-
I like Margot Robbie
Yeah.
fine. I'm sorry, Sean.
Sorry, I was just saying, as probably one of the, at least classic Harley Quinn, I'm a huge fan. When they announced Margot Robbie, completely happy. I don't blame the actress for the failings of Suicide Squad in that terrible costume. Hopefully they'll alter it up a little bit as far as that end goes, but her continuing as Harley Quinn with maybe new writing, new directors, I'm still on board.
Man, look, that Suicide Squad was not a good movie. Quantifiably was not a good movie. Margot Robbie was actually one of the better parts. Even Margot Robbie as that version of Harley Quinn was one of the better parts of that movie.
That's it.
I
And
liked that character.
Just the costume bothered me. Her actual portrayal of Harley Quinzel was
Right.
very good.
I was down with it. So, yeah, she's going to be a very big part of this Birds of Prey thing.
So I'm not down for Harley Quinn being on the team. If they want Harley Quinn to be the villain, I'm down for that. But
I hope it's
now,
not
I
necessarily a
know-
team. I hope it's kind of like forced to work with kind of situation. Because I agree with you on that. I
so
haven't
they're
heard
making Thunderbolts or
yeah.
Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad
Well,
again.
Like I'm hoping a better use of her, like how they should have done the Joker instead of having such a huge role, just needed to be a part of the mission. You know what I mean? Kind of scenario, like in the animated Suicide Squad
Yeah.
movie. But we'll see. I haven't gotten all that detail.
So I want to clarify because I just looked it up. I don't know that she's going to be a part of the team. What the IGN article that I have pulled up says is the DC Extended Universe is expanding in a number of new directions in the years ahead, including a Birds of Prey movie that will prominently feature Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn.
Okay.
Doesn't say she's on the team. It
I
just
bet
says
she's the
movie
villain.
will
Caleb
prominently
inciting us
feature.
with fake news. You see what happens.
So I'm totally cool with Harley Quinn, even
Being
the
the villain
non-classic.
or-
I'm
yeah.
cool with her being the villain. The Birds of Prey team to me is the classic Birds of Prey team, and that's who I want to see at least in the first movie.
Yeah, which is Oracle, Black Canary, Huntress, and then in later iterations, I think they had Lady Blackhawk, and even Big Barda was a member of it.
That's
And I would love to see Big Barda.
Now, the only thing, and I could be wrong, there might have been more articles. I haven't heard anything about Oracle or Batgirl in the lineup.
I haven't either. Yeah, so I mean, we don't know a
Which
lot.
saddens me, but we'll see what they do. I would hope at least either as Oracle or as Batgirl.
I
She should be
really
in there, I
love
think.
Oracle. I love Batgirl too. I really love the Oracle character. There was a lot of strength in that character. So we're gonna skip Young Justice Outsiders because it turns out that's not a movie. And let's talk about. I'm actually going to skip a few down our list. We're using bullet points, guys. That's how we do this because we're professional. All right, so Batman Hush is being made into an animated film next year. I love that comic.
Me too.
I'm curious to see how this is going to work out on an animated film because the last animated film that had Batman kind of bit me. And I think it did you too, Sean.
Yeah. 3 or 4 years ago, they announced this. I would have been like over the moon excited, like completely flipping out and telling everyone you need to go buy this. After The Killing Joke,
Yeah.
a little more hesitant, still optimistic,
Right.
to be honest, because, and kind of like, I know I made a comment either when we posted the news story or I comment on someone's talking about it. As long as they stick to the source material and don't add unnecessary openers like they did in The Killing
Right.
Joke, we're fine. Because The Killing Joke, the after they got done with all the new original writing bullshit, it was fine. It was
Yeah.
it was the adaptation of the book. So they stick to the source material and don't add their own spin on the story and make Batman bang Batgirl on a roof again. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, that happened. That was part of that Killing Joke thing.
That
That's what
was really Catwoman in a Batgirl suit.
You know what?
That
I
would
would
have been
have
a better story.
100% down for that.
That would have been
But,
a lot better.
I mean, Hush is one of the Batman classic stories.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a modern classic as far as when you're talking about a book that's been around from the 30s. I think Hush came out in the 90s.
Yeah, it was one of the first Batman stories, solo Batman stories I read in a long time.
Yeah.
Like I said, I wasn't a big DC guy growing up.
So, to me, it's one of the classics, and I'm totally cool with them doing animated. I hope they stick to the source material. They can modify it a little bit, but stick to what we have and give us what people are expecting on it. And it's a fantastic story. I hope they do it justice.
It's always weird for me to watch like animated Batman stuff because I'm such a fan. Well, animated Batman stuff that's more serious and a little bit darker because I'm such a fan of the Batman animated series, the Paul Dini stuff.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that version of the Batman animated stuff. And so, like, even back in the day when what was the Phantom?
Yeah.
When that movie came out, it was a little bit darker.
Yeah.
It's still good. I still like the show. It's just different. So I always watch. I always go into watching Batman animated stuff with Paul Dini's writing in my brain, and then when it's not that, it's weird for me. Not bad, just weird.
I understand what you're saying, but like I said, they stick to the source material because I'm going to blame it. Was it Jeff Loeb?
I believe it
Wrote
was.
Hush,
Yeah.
I believe. Great writing, and if they can actually animate character model based on Jim Lee's art from that run, holy shit, they could have a bona fide hit.
Yeah.
Well, and that's not the only animated film they're going to do. They're also going to do Wonder Woman Bloodlines. It's set to be released in 2009. I know exactly
19.
zero things about what's... Yeah, 2019. Sorry, I got stuck.
We got to go back in time.
Yeah, you gotta-
10 years. and
You're
watch
going to
that.
go on an adventure, kids. We're going to go back
We're going
to
on the magic school bus.
to when politics were still relevant. Anyway, so Wonder Woman Bloodlines is going to be released 2019. I don't know anything about what they're doing with it. I know that what I saw on the article I read looked really, really awesome. I don't know that we've ever gotten a really big Wonder Woman animated film treatment.
Not
was
on
one-
her own, I think.
No, there was one
Was
before
Was
the
it?
live action came out. I thought it was fine. It just didn't. No one. Let's be real. Almost the Iron Man treatment. Wonder Woman's always been known and respected, but I don't think she was popular until she got her own movie.
Gotcha.
And I think the animated one flew under the radar of a lot of people.
Gotcha.
To some, yeah, to
I would say
extent.
to an extent. I'm not
extent.
saying maybe not the levels of Iron Man, but that's just the first comparison I could think of.
She was always still the big three.
She always has been,
Yeah.
but like mass populace didn't really care until she got her solo.
She wasn't Batman,
Yeah,
essentially.
exactly. And so they did have a pretty decent origin story animated movie a few years back. But like I said, it flew under a lot of people's radar.
I mean, I'm completely interested in it. I enjoyed the last Wonder Woman animated movie they did.
Yeah, he saw it.
Back whenever they did the... I guess it was spawning out of the New 52 stuff.
Yeah.
Because they started with the Justice League, and then they kind of did a bunch of the other
Right.
characters and stuff. One of my favorite things about the animated series, and this is kind of getting off of Wonder Woman, but them having Nathan Fillion as Hal Jordan, I've always loved that.
That's cool.
Yeah. Because I always felt that he could have played a great,
He would have been a
so.
good Hal
Yeah.
Jordan.
I think so. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly.
Actually, before we move on to the next movie, you missed a TV show.
Did I?
Your comic. Look at your comic.
Oh yeah, the Marvel Rising stuff.
They announced that, I think, Monday.
They did.
Yeah.
There's a whole. I'm going to talk about a comic here in a little bit that kind of preempts what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're doing a whole. I guess they're calling it Marvel Rising with some of these younger Marvel characters, Squirrel Girl, Ms. Marvel.
And they're actually calling her Spider-Gwen Spider-Ghost in this.
Yeah, okay, that's
So,
where the Spider Ghost
yeah.
thing is coming out of.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
So,
And who's the dude with the shield?
oh crap!
What is that character?
Patriot? Was
Is
it
it Patriot?
Patriot.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll be in it.
One of the
Oh, yeah,
original
awesome.
Young Avengers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm pumped about that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait because I know the people. I mean, they actually have G. Willow Wilson working on this stuff,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's going to be really really cool.
It looks good. I'm
And
down
trailer,
for
yeah,
it.
it looks
And-
fun. It looks like it's going to be just action and humor and everything mixed in. So
Right.
I think it's
And,
gonna be
and
really
for
good.
all of you that don't think that comics are for kids anymore, put your kids in front of the TV on this show.
Absolutely.
Right.
Oh,
Because
and-
it is for
and
kids.
We forgot another one. They announced a new season of Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
we're not off TV
We just-
yet.
Yeah, I'm
Real,
sorry.
No,
There-
real
there-
quick.
no, there
real
was
quick.
a lot. There was
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
so for me, this is some of the biggest news, and I can't believe I forgot about it.
Yeah.
But they're going to do one more season of Clone Wars that takes place between the last season of Clone Wars and leads up to Revenge of the Sith. So,
very cool.
so yeah, we're going to get that time filled in for us. So I'm excited for
It
that.
looks.
So.
I'm super hyped.
More Ahsoka, more Anakin as a hero. So I'm
More Mandalorians apparently.
yeah.
I'm down with it.
Yeah.
All right, I need to go
All
back
right.
and watch that series. I haven't watched it.
So-
Yeah, you
y'all
really
keep
need
I
telling
need
me
to finish
that-
it.
Yeah.
You keep telling me about how good it is, and
Okay, we can go back on to movies now.
all right, are we good now?
Yeah, I think
Are
so.
you
I think
satisfied?
so. I saw your comic and it made me like, oh wait.
All right, so let's talk about some trailers that actually
Yeah.
came out. Not stuff that just got announced, but stuff that we actually saw.
Yes.
Let's start with the Aquaman trailer. Oh my god. I cannot wait for this movie. It was everything I wanted it to be. Mira looks phenomenal. Sharks and a kid. Like that scene in front of the aquarium was badass. Like I'm pumped.
I'm glad you're pumped. I'm kind of meh.
You're kind of mad? Okay.
I-
Tell me why you're mad.
Okay, so sorry, Jerry. I don't mean to cut you
No,
off,
no,
but
No, you did.
so
You did,
So-
you did it on purpose. You son of a
so
bitch.
first of all, I do. I really like now Jason Momoa as Aquaman, which was my concern for that movie. If that trailer addressed that for me. He is actually going to be Adam Curry that we know,
Arthur
Curry that we know. I'm fine with that. Who the hell's Adam Curry? Anyways, he's going to be the Arthur Curry we know.
Adam Curry asks himself every day. He's like, who is
So that part that I was concerned with, I'm
Existential.
totally cool with now. The scene at the aquarium, that was badass. To me, a lot of it it was just meh. I mean, the Black Manta stuff, fantastic. That looks great.
That's what I'll say. I was like kind of hyped about it. I'm not a huge Aquaman fan. Of course, it's got to be heavy CGI. But when they showed Black Manta,
Yeah.
boosh.
So,
it was,
having
that
to-
was badass.
I'm
Yeah,
totally-
that was.
I'm totally watching this movie now. I didn't know that I would watch it before I saw the trailer. So as far as that goes, it actually got me excited to watch the movie. I'm still in a wait and see. More than a meh, I'm in a wait and see. Sean?
Well, I still have not watched Justice League. Watching this trailer
Same.
made me more interested in a DC movie than most the past trailers have done. It did make me excited, but I gotta admit, I'm absolutely not on Aqua Teen. Almost went
Please,
there,
let's do a
right?
live action Aqua Teen
Aqua
movie.
Teen Hunger Force.
Aquaman bandwagon or fan base. I've never cared about this character in the slightest. That trailer made him look interesting.
Yeah.
I remember hearing some people complain about his attitude. They thought he was too relaxed. I guess they're used to the more serious under the water king Aquaman, but he looks like he's having fun. And you don't have fun in DC movies these days.
That's exactly it.
So I got to give him that. It's looking like I'm not hyped, but it was a good trailer.
Well, he can be fun because of the time, place this is taking. It's before he becomes king of Atlantis.
Well, but you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
I'm used to at least in the brief Aquaman readings I've had, he's usually a little bit more serious, and this looks like he's kind of laid back.
Jerry thinks he's got something to say
I'm
funny.
sorry. All I can think of is Carl from Aqua Teen Hunger Force telling Aquaman to get out of his pool. Like,
He's still on Aquaman, of course.
but yeah,
The movie-
Black Manta.
Black Manta looked
Black
amazing.
Manta.
The Mind Blast.
That
The
made
Mind
it
Blasts
for
were
me.
amazing.
I wanted to
Absolutely.
text David like right after we looked.
Make that fucking costume,
It's
David,
fun
if you're
be-
listening.
It's fun because Black Manta does look amazing, but he's not the main villain of
No.
the story, and that's what's really cool about this.
Ocean Master.
Yeah, it's Ocean Master, and Ocean Master looked rad. Mira looks fantastic in this, and the aquakinesis stuff she does. I'm really, really excited. I know everybody else is kind of like, man, yeah, but I'm really excited about this. I think you're going to get like the scenes they show of the Atlanteans remind me of the scenes from Black Panther of the Wakandians when they're standing around, like, and you see this, you get just a taste of this world that you don't know a lot about, but they give you just enough that you can contextualize it, but they don't stop to explain everything. They're like, no, this is just the way it is. We're not going to hold your hand through this. If you don't understand it, then you go figure it out on your own. Go use Google. But they're going to give us that, and it just looks really, really fun. And again, my favorite part was the scene where the kid is getting bullied, baby Arthur, and Bruce the shark rolls up like, my name is Bruce, and cracks the glass.
So you saw Justice League, right? This
did.
is a prequel, right?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so.
All right.
I'm not 100% sure about that, but I would not be surprised.
Okay.
And little side note, I don't know if it's necessarily for the movie, but they showed at San Diego Comic-Con Sideshow Collectibles, I believe, had a statue of Aquaman wearing the traditional yellow and green suit.
Oh, nice.
from the comics. I don't know if that's movie or they just made a special variant that had him in the comic colors. It was his armor, but it was like a bright yellow with the green bottom. And I thought that was kind of cool.
I could very easily see at the end of this movie him
Yeah.
donning that and
Right.
being very excited about it.
See, I always thought that they were trying to play it off the tattoos because they're like fish
Well, that
scales,
was the
yeah.
original design thing,
Okay.
yeah. And they were going for a little bit more of a Samoan heritage look for that. And I mean, Jason Momoa, that's
Yeah.
what you're.
Yeah.
And,
Indeed.
ooh, Jason Momoa. Hello.
Moving on.
Hey, boo. All right, so the Shazam trailer.
Yes.
Now this is one we're all excited
I think
about.
so, yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody else go.
I mean, Sean said it for Aquaman that he's finally excited for a DC movie. This was the trailer that did it for me for a DC movie. I watched this trailer and I'm like, this is what a DC movie should be. It's fun. It looks like it's going to be a good time. Not everything has to be set in Gothamverse, so let's have fun with a comic book movie.
The guy that's playing him straight up has great. He acts like a kid so well.
Oh, it's
Like,
perfect.
he's-
And for all y'all bitching about the costume looks legit. It's bright red, not dull color palette like all the Justice League wants to be. And like someone finally said it, at least to me anyway, in the scene with Jaimin Hansu as the is it called just the
Shazam.
wizard?
The
Yeah,
wizard,
Shazam.
yeah.
The wizard. But he's like, you have to say my name and it'll grant my power. What's your name? He's like, dead serious. Shazam. He's like, just say the name, okay. That is good comedic timing.
is.
That is fun. It looks amazing.
This
Yeah.
movie, it feels lighthearted. It feels bright. It feels energetic. It feels whimsical, almost childlike. And that doesn't mean that there's not going to be some action and some just breaking hits. But that it's just got me feel like I don't know. There's a nostalgic factor there that it hits for me.
It feels like big in a superhero
Yeah.
movie.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's what when I watched it, I thought, 20 years ago you could have had Tom Hanks play this character, and it would have been perfect because that's what it felt like,
Yeah.
and I'm down with that. That's what this movie
That's
should
what
be.
Shazam should be.
Yeah,
I just have a question for those. Like, I am hyped for the movie. I don't know a whole lot about Shazam.
Yeah.
But in the movie, he has, I guess he's getting adopted into a family, and the
Yes.
kid there, he has the arm brace. Now, I know in, I think it was Flashpoint, there was a group of kids that formed into Shazam. Is that like a nod to, because one of them was had to have the arm
They're
braces?
because it's this
Or is that
family.
always-
It's
always
this
been a
family
thing?
that adopts a bunch of kids.
Right.
So one of them was handicapped. It didn't look like he had a lot more siblings in this one, or maybe they
No,
just
I
they're
just
not
wondered if,
adopted,
maybe
it's a
that was
foster
was
home.
that-
Yeah, it's a foster
I just
home.
wonder if that was maybe a nod to that,
I think
or
so.
if he always had a friend that was handicapped.
he hasn't always had a friend that has been. It's just it's probably a nod to that in some way, or just the fact that Billy Batson's always been in foster care throughout the stories.
Okay.
So this is following his storyline. He's in foster care.
I just thought
nod
maybe,
or not.
maybe one of y'all would have known this. 'Cause I thought that's why I thought when I saw him, I was like, "That's a nod to the handicapped kid, part of the Shazam kids that formed into Shazam."
Yeah. Well, and
Maybe.
there is a Shazam
Family?
Yeah, Marvel
So
family.
the thing
True,
about
yeah.
Shazam is he can divide
the
his
Marvel
power.
family,
Yeah.
not Marvel family.
Well, that's what
Shazam
they're called.
family.
They're
I
called-
know, but we gotta keep it separated.
The thing about Shazam is he can divide his power into as many people as he wants.
Right.
He can give, but
Yeah.
he loses
Did I know
power
Right.
by giving somebody else a portion
Wisdom
of his
of
power.
Solomon and
Is that
Yeah.
how? Like, I know was it Mary Marvel and Kid Shazam? Or whatever,
Yeah.
I think was
Yeah,
like
so-
some of
like that,
his
yeah.
extent. I knew they existed. I just didn't know that.
Yeah.
With that.
So
They're a counterpart to the Black Adam family as well, which I love.
those wonderful people that I just read about in '52.
I'm stoked. It looked fun.
Yeah.
Which is something a DC movie hasn't looked like since Batman: The Dark Knight.
Well, and both of these, the Aquaman and the Shazam trailer, both look fun. A
Yeah.
different type of fun.
Yeah.
Aquaman looks more epic. This looks more. Again, I don't know if whimsical is the right word. But that's the one I keep coming back to. But it looks more adventurous. Yeah,
It looks like
an
yeah,
adventurous.
It looks like an adventure
Yeah.
film and discovery film.
I will-
A fun origin film, which we don't always get.
Yeah.
So
I will say one of the funniest things I saw on the internet this week was a meme, and it was the scene where the kid is touching Shazam's lightning bolt chest
Yeah.
thing, and that was the top part of it, and the bottom part of it was Chris and the old man from Family Guy, and it said, "Hey, little boy."
So,
That I cracked up.
Yeah,
That
I mean,
made me
it-
laugh.
I don't remember his lightning bolt ever lighting up in the comics, but I don't know how you really show that
I think they
anyway.
started that in
So
the New 52.
I don't know how you
Because
portray
it's part
that
of like,
anyways.
but you see it in his costume, like has that his like armlet gauntlets
Yeah.
light up too. So it's just costume.
I mean, we're talking about magic, so I'm cool with it. I think it looks. I think it's a
amazing.
good look. Yeah, I think it's a really good look. So the last trailer that I think we're going to talk about, unless there's another one that I didn't get on the list because apparently that's the thing I do, is the Godzilla trailer.
Holy shit!
I haven't been this excited for a Godzilla movie in a long time.
It was like as soon as they introduced a monster, another one would pop up, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, like they're getting the full pantheon of Godzilla characters coming to life. I mean, you see Mothra,
You see Rodan.
and
then you see King
Ghidorah.
Ghidorah.
yeah,
Like-
in the fog.
Yeah, and just the whole scene, like, because you're going through, you see the larva stage of Mothra, which you knew he was coming in because they had that teaser earlier this week
Right.
with what's her name, Millie,
yeah, from Stranger Things.
Yeah, and she was trying to contact Monarch, which was who Bryan Cranston worked for in the first movie. So you knew Mothra was coming. And then they showed Rodan flying, which I think when they first showed him, they were trying to
Very subtle.
They were
just the
making you think
shadow.
that it was going to be Mothra, but then it was definitely him. And then they had that scene where everyone's running around and you see yellow lightning go through the wall, and I'm like, ah! And that's a King Ghidorah thing.
King Ghidorah, that's
and then
funny.
we just see that like huge silhouette of it, and
Which is awesome, but like to me, like the part that's got my nerd boner going was actually Mothra, just the wings unfurling with all the dust.
Yeah.
That was a beautiful shot.
Yeah.
And like, I'm hyped. I'm excited. It looks great. I still haven't watched the last Godzilla film because it did nothing for me, to be honest.
I enjoyed it.
I've heard mixed reviews, but the complaints I've heard are kind of slow. But that's the origin. The first Godzilla movie is always a
then
little
they had
slow.
the dad, the Lannister, the father Lannister or whatever from Game of Thrones, and he was like, "Long live the king." Woo!
So
It was
excellent
really-
casting from what I can see, and I want to say, like, I haven't really heard anybody talk about this, but this trailer was an insanely good example of how to utilize music in a trailer or in a film, because you get this really almost calm orchestral music, and then there towards the end it drops a key, and you get this really flat off key same orchestral music that it does so much for the mood of what you're watching, and that is integral to how a soundtrack can affect the tone of what you have going, and they just did it perfect in this trailer.
And
So
it's,
I don't know who did that, but
and that
good
style,
job.
if I'm not mistaken, Jerry is definitely the bigger. Much as I love the Godzilla films, he's definitely in that. That's that drop in tone, that very low growl thing. That's like almost Godzilla theme song kind of thing. 'Cause when he first showed up in the old black and white, that's kind of how they were playing his music for his attack on Tokyo. Yeah, that's the signature Godzilla right there.
So I'm just waiting for 11 to kill the rest of the monsters, and we'll be fine.
When they destroy the Ego Factory is
Yes.
on.
Can we? I mean, at such a young age, Millie Bobby Brown is a dope actress, though. Like,
Yeah.
she is good. Like, you don't see that with kids, even in the other Stranger Things kids. I don't think that they're nearly up. And this isn't a knock against them; they do a fine job in the show, but she is just a level beyond quality wise.
She's a definite standout.
as far as her range.
Well, I mean, the main kid, I can't remember his name, but he was in it.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't the main kid in it, but
He was in it, but like, I agree with that. Like, they're all fine actors.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you can tell she's got a future.
Yeah, she's
Like,
quality. She really
definitely.
is. Absolutely. So, back over to the DC world. It was announced that there's been some rumors and some speculation for a little bit, but it finally got solidified. Joaquin Phoenix is going to play the Joker in a Joker movie. So that's
It's being reported as the title they revealed at San Diego is just called Joker.
right.
And this will be the origin of, I'm assuming they're keeping it to the DC cinematic version of Joker, what we saw in Suicide Squad. I guess why it's not Leto doing it, I don't know. But it is going to be the origin of Joker. Or may explain why Leto's Joker was so different, maybe.
So currently in DC comic continuity, there's 3 Jokers,
Right.
which we may get to
Yeah.
later here. But there's 3 Jokers in the DC continuity. So We don't know. It could be two different Jokers. It could be that Jared Leto's character is not the actual Joker, from what I understand from
That's
Suicide
kind of
Squad.
what I think they're doing.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, Joaquin Phoenix is a great actor, regardless of when he went off the deep end a couple of years ago. The dude's a great actor, so I'm excited to see his portrayal of the Joker.
Really curious to see what they're going to do with it for sure.
I don't think there's enough information yet.
Yeah,
I
I mean, that's
Joaquin
literally all they
Phoenix.
said.
He plays crazy in movies because he's crazy in real life, and that's
Right.
fun. So, did you see? Was it Letterman that he was on not too long ago?
Now that
Yeah.
was.
Did you see the movie? That was like he was in character. He was like going like when everyone said he went crazy.
Yeah.
he went like
Oh, he's a method actor.
like
He is a hardcore.
and
method
he
actor.
went he just went completely over the deep end into that character, which made I can't think of the movie right now, but it was a very interesting movie.
Which
to
may
watch.
not be what you want in a character that's playing the Joker.
Yeah.
I mean, like let's be honest. Like the
Yeah.
method acting characterization of the Joker is what killed our boy.
It's contributed to Heath Ledger's
Yeah,
passing.
like
for
that's
sure.
that. It drove him over, and even Jack Nicholson has came out and said, like, I had to like spend a year in recovery after he played the Joker.
I mean, is he really going to blame that on the Joker?
I think
I
Jack
mean-
Nicholson is still the Joker. That's my. Like, I think that's his real job.
I've always said, as much as I enjoyed the Keaton movie and his take on Joker, it was just Jack Nicholson in white makeup.
I mean,
Let's be real.
But he did say, like, you get into that character,
Right,
You get into that psyche, and it's hard to crawl out of that hole. And I don't know. Should be we might need to be worried about Joaquin Phoenix a little bit. I mean, we should have been before, though.
I mean,
think. So
you know,
he is Joaquin.
I'm
Phoenix.
still sad about Joaquin Phoenix's brother, River. So
Right, with a history of that in the family.
Yeah.
Hope he doesn't go too overboard for the Joker film.
He's a very good actor, though.
He
so,
is.
I'm gonna wait and see more because I want to know what they're doing. I mean, again, that's the big question here.
I don't think
what's
that they know what they're doing at the DCU at this point.
I mean, that's a thing.
It seems to be all over the place. So
Yeah. And the last little thing we have on our movie news, I think, is Riot is going to be one of the villains in the Venom movie. Riot is a character. He's a symbiote in the comics, I believe. And I don't
Yes.
know a lot about this world because that's Spider-Man and the tangential spider stuff is not my bread and butter when it comes to the Marvel side of things. And so I know Venom is one of Jerry's favorite characters. I know this whole thing is one of your favorite things, Sean. So tell me a little bit about who Riot is because I just don't know.
Honestly, as far as Riot goes, I just know that they confirmed the second symbiote we've seen in the trailer is Riot. Jerry,
Okay.
you know who Riot is?
He popped up in one of the really like the 90s whenever they were going crazy with Venom and Symbiote and the children of Venom.
Right.
I don't know a lot about him because I really started getting into Venom when they did the Flash Thompson stuff.
Right.
And even like here lately, they haven't done a lot of like offspring of symbiotes.
I don't think. I think Shriek is about the only one that's really stuck around since that initial like the multiple and Carnage, of course.
Yeah.
But like he's not classified as like the spawns of Venom or whatever they call them, the children of Venom. But the big thing that I took from that though is they confirmed that we did see a second symbiote and he will be battling someone who's in that. But they also emphasized that they said they're not going to spoil it. He's just one, and there will be other villains.
Right.
So we may see multiple symbiote costumes.
kinda
We still may get that Carnage everyone wants.
Gonna get Anti-Venom?
Hey, we might get Spider-Man. In this perspective, Spider-Man might be a villain to
They
Venom,
could.
the lead
Oh,
Venom.
yeah, I didn't think about that. What if Spider-Man is the actual villain of the movie?
That way everyone will
It's
shut the
from
fuck
Venom's
up whining.
perspective. Yeah.
that'll make me whine.
I'll make you whine.
Craig will go on a Lance Rance.
I'll be a Lance Rance.
No, it won't be a Lance
but
Rance,
his
but it
first
will make me
appearance
whine.
was in Venom Lethal Protector #4 back in '93.
Yeah.
And then he was also in Carnage USA, but that was during whenever they had like the military special ops each
Yeah.
had one of the Venom family symbiotes. So that was the last thing we even saw of that symbiote.
Okay.
So I mean, with them doing that stuff in the movie and bringing the Venom family in, it's fairly possible that we're going to get them back at
All
some
right.
point.
So do we feel good about TV and movie sections of this? Cause
Yes, Christ.
I'm ready to get into the important
I'm
shit.
ready to
talk
move
just
on to
about
the
some
second
comics.
page.
I'm excited about the comic news that came out of Comic-Con and just some of it that we got because this is the stuff I actually care about. So I'm pumped. So Marvel is teaming up with IDW to make a series of all ages books, and some people have expressed that this might be a sign of something bigger, that either Marvel and Disney is about to make a move on IDW, that they might actually be trying to buy IDW, or that Marvel is moving their publishing duties over to IDW. I think both of these things are a big stretch. I think I think Marvel has utilized IDW in the past to do some of their licensed products, do some of their all ages products. I just think that there's a cheaper way that IDW can do it, and that's all it is. I don't think Marvel's buying anybody. I don't think Marvel can buy IDW, or they can. I don't think they are, and I don't think that they're quitting producing comics. I think calm down, guys.
So traditionally, Disney, who owns Marvel and owns Lucasfilm, as you know,
Yeah.
uses IDW to publish their children's books. IDW produces all of the Walt Disney books, anything that's under the Walt Disney title. So Uncle Scrooge, Darkwing Duck, Donald Duck, Comics and Stories, DuckTales, all of these books are in IDW, which doesn't make any sense when they own a comic book company. But like you said, there's some synergy there that they're going back and forth, and they have this agreement. Lucasfilms uses IDW for the Star Wars adventure books, which are a kid's take on the Star Wars universe. I don't think there's anything more to it than that's just something that Marvel is doing, is Disney is doing. They're using IDW as their place to produce their children's books, and Marvel is going to be the teen to adult books.
Well, and Marvel has always used IDW to produce their Golden Age stuff. So whenever you get these artist editions of Kirby works, of just all of these classic artists and stuff, they always go through IDW, and you get these really good oversized collectible tomes,
artist books,
library edition books that are just wonderful, wonderful works. I mean, they've got, like I said, Kirby, they've got Ditko,
all kinds of them. I've got a Spider-Man one,
just a ton of stuff. So I think that's all it is. Yeah, I think they're just utilizing to do that. But we are getting more all ages books,
which is fantastic
and that's,
news.
We say this all the time: buy your kids comics, read with your kids. Buy your kids comics and read with your kids. Instill that love of sequential art of the medium in your kids at an early age, and they'll grow up. It's from the cradle to the grave. That's what it is. They'll grow up loving these things, and it will stick with them, and then they can be 30-something-year-old guys sitting at a table, or girls sitting at a table running a podcast when they're our age, because everyone should be like us. No,
it's really important to get kids in the comics. It was kind of cool because this past week I got to meet some of Stephanie's family. Yeah. And some of the kids, whenever she went over there to visit them, she was asking me recommendations, and I recommended Skeletons, Scoundrels, and Moon Girl, Devil Dinosaur. And they loved them.
You should throw DC Supergirls at them, too. Yeah. Really, really fun.
But it's really important to get them into comics.
Yeah, the more all-age comics we can get, the better. Because they said you got to hook them early.
And put them in a place where kids are going to find them outside of their parents knowing to take them to a comic book store. Put them back in. Put kids' age comics in supermarkets.
Yep, you get a comic and a candy bar.
Yep.
Put them next to the registers.
Yep.
All right, so Marvel Knight's 20th anniversary project got announced at San Diego Comic-Con, and it's going to be, quote-unquote, show-ran by Donny Cates, which is a weird phrase to use for a comic book, but I was reading it up. Essentially what this is, it's going to be a series of books which kind of just celebrate. I thought at first it was going to be an ongoing title, like an ongoing series, but apparently they had to go back and clarify some things, because so did everyone else, and it's not going to be an ongoing series. It's going to be a couple of issues, I guess one-shots, that celebrate 20 years of the Marvel Knights tagline. And you're going to get things like Punisher, like Luke Cage, Jessica Jones maybe, Ghost Rider probably, Blade hopefully. There's so much about the Marvel Knights that you could do. So, and it's going to be pushed forward by Donny Cates, who is in many ways I don't want to say the brainchild, but he is a student of Jimmy Palmiotti and those guys who really did have a constructive hand in the Marvel Knights. So it's almost perfect that he's doing this. And he's kind of Marvel's golden boy right now too. Right. So
yeah, I think he's kind of taking over Bendis's role at Marvel from all appearances. But
right. Speaking of appearances, he had pink hair at Comic-Con.
That's awesome. So Marvel Knights is fantastic. If you've not read the books, you probably should if you're listening to this podcast. Some of them are better than others, but some are super fantastic. The Ghost Rider stuff and Midnight Sun stuff.
Black Panther.
Yeah.
Black Panther was a good Marvel Knights.
Daredevil.
Yeah.
They were all really good Marvel Knights.
So those little guys, you may have heard of them. Yeah. Blade was one of my favorite Marvel Knights series, and just really good stuff.
Blade just needs more love in
He
general.
really does. That needs to be Blade needs more love. That'd be a comic book.
We need to make a hashtag, create t-shirts.
Right. All right, so moving on a little bit. Fantastic Four. We know Fantastic Four is coming back. Finally, they've been gone for too long. We're getting them back. Everyone should be excited about this. I actually read in an article this morning that according to retailers, there have been over 400,000 pre-orders of this, and that number in comics today is bonkers. Like, that's bigger than anything I've seen in a long time, if it's true. And that could include variants and this, that, and the other. But 400,000 copies of this book being pre-ordered is dope. Like,
Considering there's only like 200,000 comic book readers right now.
Yeah. Across the board.
Yeah. I mean, the hype is real. It's, I'm sure one part collectors, one part people are excited about Fantastic Four. Whether you're a fan of it or not, they're a seminal book. They're an important part of the Marvel legacy.
Or Dalton's buying 200,000 copies.
Just as equally feasible.
I can see that happening. But so what we learned at Comic-Con this week is that there's also going to be a new villain get introduced in, I think, #1. And they're also going to be introducing a new female hero from Latveria, which is, it's the Doctor Doom's country that he ran for a while, and that got blown up, and a mutant massacre happened, and I don't know, it was bad. Nothing good ever happens in Latveria, so they need a hero. So hopefully we're going to get
And that's surprising how long it's taken to go there. When you've had Doctor Doom, such a prominent, I don't know if he's ever necessarily, was he considered a dictator?
He is a dictator.
He is, like,
he was absolutely a dictator.
It took this long for someone to finally think, hey, you know what? Somebody might have a problem with that and not want to be like him.
He rules with the iron fist of Doom.
I'm surprised it took this long to get a hero to come out of there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, he's no longer controlling Latveria, so that's why it's happening now.
He's also nice now.
Is this because
Nice.
that Bendis' last issue of Iron Man?
He had been good since
Superior Iron Man.
Is it
No, since Secret Wars.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right.
Is it going to be a new version of Doombot? I'm 100% down for that.
One can hope.
Doombot is
Doombots are awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's so much they could do. I'm really ready to see the Fantastic Four back on the shelf. It's not a series that I've ever been just deeply in love with. But
You should read Hickman's run. Outside of that, I can't.
Well, and I really like what he did with those characters in the lead up to Secret Wars. And,
Right.
Matt Fraction wrote a really good run of the Fantastic Four. I've got the first omnibus of the original FF stuff. And, so it's weird. They are, like you said, a cornerstone of the Marvel universe. And it's been different, not even seeing them referenced in my books.
Yeah.
So I'm excited that they're coming back. And, I'm excited. New villains, new heroes, new world, kind of. New playground for those guys. Yeah, it's fun. Speaking of bringing back stuff, Chelsea Kane's going to bring back the Vision. That to me makes me giddy on the insides. Not only because it's a really good writer, it's also a character I love, but also at the mention of Chelsea Kane, angry fanboys lose their shit, and that's always fun to watch on the internet. As long as I am drinking while it happens.
I'll read it and give it a try.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't. I'm in the minority here. I didn't love Tom King's Vision. I love Tom King, but I didn't love the Vision.
It's okay to be wrong.
It is okay to be
I'm
wrong.
done.
No, I tell you that too. It's I very well recognize I'm in the minority on that group that I didn't love the Vision. I'll pick it up, I'll read it, and I'll see what it is.
Yeah.
That's-
And Chelsea Kane wrote a really good run on Mockingbird. She was the one that she wrote Mockingbird. She had put a cover out. I don't think she drew it, but it was her book, and it was Mockingbird wearing a shirt that said, "Let me tell you about my feminist agenda." Of course, the nature of that thing made assholes lose their brains. And she's a really good writer. She writes really good stories. She kind of was chased away from comics by the outburst of that, as
I hate people.
as happens. More and more these days, where trolls attack women and people of color and queer people who create these things. They see blood in the water and they go after them. But
Any
she's
minority.
back. She's doing the Vision, and there's a lot in that playground to play with right now, especially with Viv being a very big part of the Champions, with Vision having a lot going on with the Avengers. I don't know. I think there's a lot to do there.
You feel she has a pretty good vision of the Vision?
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
I respect it.
He's been sitting there waiting
It
for
was
his time to
was
come
really
in.
It's
there.
low-hanging fruit, but I
blatant
respect it.
and loud.
Yeah.
So Viv is my favorite thing that came out of the Vision
Yeah.
book. So
Also, there's a dog that came out of the Vision book that's really cool.
no, I did not know that part
he's
of it.
he's a cool little guy. His name's Sparky. He makes me happy. So, getting a little dark. Diablo 3, one of my favorite video games of the past 5 years. Still actively play it sometimes, for what that's worth. They are making a series of comics that are going to be set in the continuity of Diablo 3. So they're going to be taking some of the storylines of these characters that you can play and you can build, or that maybe some of the non-NPC characters that you find in the game, and they're going to be doing in-continuity tales from this game in comics. Oh my god. Nah.
Oh, well, I'm certainly love Diablo 3, and I think it's great that they're going to be taking the story from there. I'm kind of a little sad that they didn't just say, like, and they may still, Diablo has a rich lore behind it.
It really does.
That world is deep, dark, and disturbing. And while Diablo 3 had a great storyline and a lot of it built upon what it already was laid out by the previous two, I kind of hope they still do touch on some of the older lore.
Is there going to be a cow? Is there a cow level?
There is no cow level.
Is there going to be
that's
words
a lie.
battle?
It's yeah, I'm excited. I need to see some art because I'm a huge Blizzard art fan. If nothing else about the games, their art is always gorgeous, and I hate to be a stickler about it because it could be an amazing story, but that art needs to be on point.
It does. Well, to me, it has to be on point. But even if it's stylized and a little bit different from what I thought, what I see from Blizzard, I might still be okay with it. But no, I agree with you. Blizzard, they put out an art book not too long ago that just blew me away. Just phenomenal art. I'm always a little bit nervous. I'm always a little bit iffy when when comic books are put out connected to video games, because they're not always good.
Well, personally, like the ones I've seen, and granted, this is like the last ones I read that were good was Borderlands and the World of Warcraft comics were pretty solid. But like some other attempts before, it always seems like they get like just the most whatever cheap artists they can get. I'm not taking
They're
away
not
from these people
taken
who are in there,
seriously, I
but
think
it
is what
doesn't
it
seem
is,
like a lot of
yeah.
effort. Like it's just literally a cash grab based on a title.
It's treated like a promotional material, and it shouldn't be.
Right.
And so you get books like Street Fighter. I actually, on the better side of things, Injustice has been a really good comic book, and it's based off of
I
video
would say,
game.
but to be fair, it is based on a comic book. The
Well,
video game itself is based on comic.
That's
book
true,
lore.
but yes, you're absolutely right. But I mean, there's been some really good things coming out of that. But like I said, always just kind of iffy when it's like comic
Sonic
book
has been a
games.
long-running comic book that's based
Yeah.
off of a video game that has a lot of love. Now, I don't know
Same
how
with
many
Mega
people
Man.
are on. Yeah, but the people that are on those books, it may not be a lot, but the ones that are on them love them.
Yeah.
So.
I know the Call of Duty put out a line of comics. One or two of them were okay. Largely, they were
It just seemed,
kinda
and like the little bit more like say like Sonic, and even Street Fighter. The early, I think it was IDW published the early ones. Like now I'm correcting myself. But anyway, their early Street Fighter books used to be really good, but now I've kind of looked at some of them now. I'm not quite as impressed.
Yeah.
But like whenever it seems to go the more mature line of stuff like Diablo will be, and like
Yeah.
the Mortal Kombat comics, it doesn't always. They're not very great. But I'm very hopeful
hopeful
for
and-
Diablo
Yeah.
3 because it's
cautiously optimistic. As
it's
you
a
said.
story from an RPG which has a deep lore to work off of. So hoping for good things.
I've got good news, guys. You ready for my good news?
What up?
We don't have to buy comics anymore.
Oh.
We can just read them digitally.
Yeah.
I'm joking. Don't stop looking. No. So Marvel is putting out a line of digital original comics featuring street level heroes. That's going to be connected to the Defenders. We're getting Jessica Jones, Daughters of the Dragon, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist. These apparently are comics that are only going to be available on the digital platform and read that way. I have thoughts on this. I read digital comics. I've got a Comixology account. I'm not adverse to reading digital comics, but I do love my tangible copies. I'm not spending the same amount of money, and I realize that you're paying for the same content, and so theoretically it's still just as valuable. I'm not spending the same amount of money for a digital copy of a comic that I can spend on a comic that I can put in my hands. I'm not saying it's not worth that. I'm saying I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And so, at least the Jessica Jones book, what we know about it, it's going to be a little bit oversized, 40 pages for $5 of digital comics. You give me a 40-page comic book I can hold in my hand, I'll absolutely pay $5 for it. I'm not even saying that this 40 pages of digital content's not worth $5. Just saying I'm not going to buy it. That's where I'm coming from. I'm not spending $5 on something I don't actually own.
Yeah.
This kind of goes along my point about digital media as well, like video games and movies. Well, granted, like you said, the cost of a comic book, say, is $3.99 on average. That pricing point is made not only just for the paying the talent who write, draw, and create these comics. It's also production.
Right.
Printing, paper, materials, inks, all that stuff. So why is it costing the same when that factor, even if it's only a 50-cent difference, a dollar difference, you don't have that cost.
Right.
If they really want digital medium, that, like I said, that goes into video games with printing off discs and cases and movies and all that. It still costs the same. If they want to go digital, they need to make a price difference.
So I know that there's some collectability to some video games and there's some collectability to some movies that are out of print now that you could only get in certain versions or whatever. But overall, comics are viewed as a collectible as much as they are as a reading material.
Yeah.
A lot of people buy comics strictly, they never read them. They just put them in a box and they never read them. I think that going digital only, I understand why they're trying to do it. To me, this is a test run for them to see how it responds. And I understand what they're trying to do. I don't think they're going to get the response that they want, especially not with these particular characters. They're all great characters, but these are comic books that traditionally sell real well off of the shelf.
Right.
They sell, they're middle-of-the-road comic books.
They're not breaking...
You're not talking about Batman, Spider-Man levels.
Right.
I see exactly what they're doing. Marvel, I see you. I don't like it, but I understand what they're doing. I personally am not... I think what you're going to see is after a few months, they're going to be released in a trade format.
Either that or they're going to go on Comixology or on Marvel Unlimited that you can just pay your subscription fee.
If they do that, they're silly.
I think so.
If they put it on Marvel Unlimited, they're silly because they're cutting off their own nose despite their face.
They've been silly before.
Yeah.
And so, but I do want to play. I don't want to say devil's advocate, but I want to counterpoint my own point. I don't think that digital comics should be cheaper than real comics just to satiate the need of people who don't want to spend money.
Yeah.
Because I still think that they have value. I just personally am not going to spend that money because I can't hold it in my hand. However, I think if they went and made digital comics astronomically cheaper than at cost or something like that, that undermines the brick and mortar store. That would just play more into putting more comic shops out of business. So they're saying, hey, you can spend the same amount of money and you can have the convenience of having it on your computer, or you can spend the same amount of money, go to your local comic shop, pick up the copy. Okay, if they're inflating it at the comic shop, you can get it cheaper online. Super cool. If they make comics at cost, if they could put digital comics for sale for 50 cents as opposed to $4, there would be a massive, even I would spend 50 cents on something I don't own, like, for that content. That would undermine your local comic book shops. That would put more shops out of business. So as much as the direct market is not the world's best, and as much as people who own comic shops like to talk about how the publishers are screwing them over left and right, and in many ways they have valid points, the publishers are actually doing them a huge solid by selling these at cover price, because that is not undermining them. So I'm okay with that. Again,
I'm still not buying them.
I'm not buying them because
I just mean, like, what I was talking about was just like a lot of companies, like I said, from video games and even comics, want to go digital. They want you to buy digital.
Yeah. Well, it's cheaper.
But from a business standpoint, though, they need to fix that price point if they want to be successful. That's just pure business. I agree. I won't buy, even if it is 50 cents. I'm not going to buy a digital comic because I don't like reading on a tablet.
Right.
100 years from now, I'm not going to be looking for Jessica Jones' #1 digital comic for my collection.
100 years from now, I don't know if you'll be looking for it.
You know what my point is. But this whole thing on the digital versus floppies is a whole other subject outside of this news.
It is. But yeah, they're launching that new line.
We
of
could do
digital
a whole
originals.
episode on that, probably.
They could. We get all soapboxy sometimes. Speaking of Comixology, they're also launching their own line of originals, including a new original story by Tyler Crook, who was the artist on Harrow County, which again I can't praise that series enough. It's my favorite series of the last 5 years. It ran 32 issues of wonderful, wonderful artwork by Tyler Crook, who's doing his own thing with Comixology, and so that's pretty cool. And I mean, because I'm a hypocrite, I might buy that. So,
Well, I mean, are those just going to be part of you? I don't know how Comixology works because I don't do digital comics.
so Comixology, the way it's set up, I have a Comixology Prime account, which means that I pay a monthly subscription fee, and I have access to a large back catalog of issues. And technically, instead of buying them, you can borrow them. So if I'm reading Invincible right now, the entire catalog. I click on it. I click that I want to borrow it. When I'm done reading it, I click give it back. And so it puts the file on my computer for as long as I want it while I'm reading it, and then I have to give it back. I don't technically own that, and you can only borrow, I'm doing quote hands, you can only borrow a certain number of books at a time. Gotcha. So you can't just borrow it and never give it back and just keep borrowing stuff.
And you pay a monthly fee for that?
I pay $6, and
Gotcha.
I have access to a very, very large library of comics done digitally.
And I'm assuming it works something like Napster, where they have to give a certain amount to the publisher for every book that's downloaded.
You just said Napster.
Jesus Christ.
That's a throwback.
I bet it's a real thing.
It is.
Or
Talking about
iTunes
Craig.
or whatever.
So
do it.
for each reader, each download, they give a percentage, very small percentage
Right.
usually, to the creative team.
Gotcha.
To whatever. But you can also go and buy comics that just came out. You have to pay full price for them.
Right.
So I can go so the book that I told everybody that I wanted them to read last week, Euthonauts. None of the comic shops around here got it. I messed up completely on me. I did not pre-order it, and so I did not get my copy of it. So I had to go buy it on Comixology and read
Gotcha,
it.
okay.
And now they were having a sale, and I got it for a discounted price. But I
Right.
did get Euthonauts. I was able to read it digitally.
Gotcha.
So there's that.
One little praise about digital comics that I like, and one of my favorite things about Marvel is they always have that digital code in there.
Yep.
So if, I know you guys are like me and you don't like people putting their grubby fingers all over your comics, you could just give them your digital code,
Yep.
and then they could just read it that way. And that's how I've been getting John to read a lot of the stuff that I've been buying that he's been interested
Just so you know, if you're buying your books to collect for aftermarket value,
Yeah.
you lose
Value. I kinda
You'll
figured.
never get over, I
But
think, an 8 grade on it.
The stuff that I've been doing it with, I don't think it's
Okay.
going to go.
I was gonna say, I don't pull
Just be aware of that
Yeah.
for the
Oh,
people out there. If you pull that code, because you can go online, you can go on eBay right now and buy all kinds of comics for $1, buy the codes for $1. But when you do that, when you pull that code out of your book, it loses value because it's no longer considered a complete book.
Yeah, I mean, there's some books though that are never going to be worth.
That's
money
and that's
anyway,
fine.
so,
You do you, but
I recently, in the past month, have started pulling codes to give to friends and stuff who want to read stuff digitally.
yeah.
It helps when you want somebody to read something, but you don't want to give them your physical copy.
Yeah.
Or comics are expensive, so when you got buddies on a budget,
Yeah.
and that I don't guess I've said it to you guys, but it extends to anybody in this room. If y'all ever want to read something but don't actually want to buy it, if I've got the digital code, I'll just give it to you. Not you out in Radioland. We're not that close. We ain't friends like that. So I know Craig was really excited about this next bullet point: Star Wars horror. Those three words: Star Wars horror. IDW is launching Tales from Vader's Castle, which is going to spin out of its all ages Star Wars Adventures comics.
Yeah, so I mean, this is going to be an all-ages story, but it's going to be obviously have a horror theme on it. The great part about it is Francesco Francavilla is doing all of the covers for them. So,
Shit.
well, I don't know if he's doing all the variants, but he's doing a cover for every issue. So it's the covers I saw look amazing. I'm really, really excited about this. And I don't read adventures right now. I don't read Star Wars Adventures. I do collect it. I will probably read this series.
Also on the Star Wars, I noticed it wasn't on here, but they did also announce the series that they're going to release that are going to take place in between 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Or was it? Yeah, 3 and 4, and
there's-
then 6 and 7.
A 12-issue miniseries with 3 different titles, but it's all in, or a maxi series. They have 3 different titles, but it's 12 issues together. and it's going to fill in the gaps between the 3 trilogies.
Very cool.
A lot of exciting news Star Wars wise from Comic-Con so far.
So with this Tales from Vader's Castle,
Yes.
is this going to be a is he going to be the crypt keeper telling different tales, or is it all going to be horror stories involving Vader?
I don't know that there's been enough
Do we have
information
enough?
yet,
Do we
but I
know?
would
Okay.
love to see horror stories involving Vader.
Well,
He's done plenty in his time.
Yeah, there is an entire the horror genre plays well into certain areas of the Star Wars universe.
I mean, we got an entire Friday the 13th hallway scene at the end.
Well, and for people,
yeah.
I've seen people online get really excited. Oh, Star Wars horror, and then all ages, and they just get meh. Have you read Goosebumps, dude?
Yeah.
You can have all ages stories that are still freaking scary tales.
Absolutely.
What was the?
Slappy the doll still haunts my nightmares.
Yes, I forgot about that, but yes, you can absolutely have these really, really scary things.
It'll be fun. I mean, that's what I know.
Well,
right.
just based off the title of it, he has a castle, right?
He does. Did you see Rogue One?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so-
it's on that planet.
Yep,
Yeah.
Mustafar. That's
Yeah.
actually a Mustafar where he burned up and died. He went
So-
and built his cat where Anakin died and became Darth Vader.
Mm-hmm.
He built his castle over that lava pit so he would be reminded. So he would.
He hold a
Fury-
grudge.
Vader really is an emo kid. He
Yeah,
really
so
is.
he
100%.
he can just fuel that hate that he has for the Jedi.
So I could easily see them making it based around there.
Yeah.
Like some
Yeah.
rebels or something go to try to take him out. And,
Yeah, I mean, there's so many possibilities with it, so it'll be interesting to see, how big of a series it is, how long it lasts.
Yep.
But the covers itself will be worth the price.
Francavilla,
Francavilla, yeah,
just
so.
stunning. So more IDW news and also more horror news. Shredder in Hell.
Yeah,
I don't even read a lot of the turtle stuff, and even I'm just kind of a nerdgasm. Shredder in Hell, and it's going to be written and drawn by Mateus Santaluco, who is bananas good. That dude's art is stunning. It truly is. And so I don't know that I've read anything. Maybe I have. Maybe because he's always been the artist writer on stuff, and I just didn't realize it. But I don't know, man. I'll definitely tune in for a horror story about Shredder in Hell.
It's definitely not what I ever would have seen a Ninja Turtle book going in a direction of. It's interesting, for sure.
yeah. I don't know how well he's going to do in Hell. It's not like Wolverine in Hell, where Wolverine had this amazing healing factor, and that played into him surviving in Hell. But it's,
Hellboy went to hell one time, and that was cool.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense though that Hellboy would be in Hell at some point in his life.
Look, maybe this is just like Shredder, an entire comic about Shredder being tortured for the bad things he's done, because that's what hell is.
I imagine it's their way of bringing Shredder back from the dead, is what I
Possibly, yeah.
imagine.
I looked away for a second to look up some news. Did you mention Wolverine in Hell?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I thought I heard you
Yeah.
say that.
Somebody
Yeah,
throw
what-
something at Jerry.
No, I was looking up something that you didn't have on here. that
What I
was
said
mentioned.
literally was that I could see Wolverine surviving in Hell because he has a healing factor, but Shredder is a human martial artist, so there's a little bit difference.
I'm still
but
confused about how you looking away had to do anything with what you heard.
he was reading.
I
I'm
vaguely
joking.
Yeah.
You hear with your earballs.
Yay.
Okay, so Jeff Johns and Jason Fabuk are telling the Three Joker story that Craig
Yeah.
mentioned a little bit ago. That got announced this week, and the strange thing is it's not going to be in the main DC shelf space. It's going to be told in their Black Label imprint, but it's going to be in continuity, which is kind of the exact opposite of what they said the Black Label imprint was going to be.
No, not necessarily.
think so?
They said that things like Murphyverse, which is part of the Black Label imprint, are its own continuity, but
Okay,
they
so
haven't
just
said
parts
that
of it.
stuff within the Black Label are not continuity.
So is the Black Label just going to be kind of like Marvel Max was?
yes,
just-
it's going to be
Sounds
the
like it.
dark side
In
of
continuity, but a little bit more hyper-violent. And
it's going to be the
sexy.
adult-natured stuff. Of,
Okay.
Since they can't put everything in Vertigo.
Well, it's going to be stuff that would normally be in their main title.
Right.
So it'll be anything that's their current superhero set in a darker, more ultra-violent, hyper-violent, hypersexual adult themes will be in there. And
as long as it's characters and books that already have that, but they couldn't quite go like Lobo or even a Joker story. But if they put out a comic book of Teen Titans saying "fuck Batman," I don't care if it's called
Yeah.
Black Label or not. I'm not reading it.
I hear you, and I agree completely. If it's just to make it edgy, I don't need that. But if it's a Joker story being told in this hyper-violent area, to me that's perfect, because we're finally going to find out about the freaking 3 Jokers.
Yeah.
Maybe we can solve it and be back to 1 by the time it's over.
Yeah, that thread's been dangling for too long.
Yeah.
Like a Lobo book, I would be super excited about.
Yeah, Lobo would be great.
Just
in Black
an
Label.
unedited, just full blown him ripping through the galaxy. I'd read that.
So you mentioned Vertigo a while ago, and I mean that's typically been where DC's darker, more adult stuff gets put at. So I wonder if they're just using Vertigo now for like non-DC continuity.
Exactly.
So-
yeah,
Stuff like
absolutely.
Suiciders.
So Vertigo currently is being used for creators that are under contract with DC
Right.
that want to do creator-owned stuff, but DC's allowing them to play in the
Right.
Vertigo area, which means theoretically at some point, because we all know ultimately Vertigo is tied to the main DC continuity
It
in
has
some
been,
way
yeah.
or another, could be brought into the main DC
Okay.
continuity. So it kind of gives them that, hey, I want to go create my own version of Invincible, but if I put it in Image, it will always be its own thing in my own universe. If I do it in Vertigo, even though I don't have the same amount of creator control that I do if I go to Image, there's a chance it could be at some
Okay.
point a DC property.
Right.
Right.
All right. Well,
That's my understanding of
That's,
it.
and that
anyways.
sounds that makes sense to me. Also, in Jeff Johns' world, he is launching a new Shazam title in November with Dale Eaglesham, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with Dale Eaglesham or not, but he's a I know I gush about artists a lot, but he's one of them that deserves being gushed over because incredibly talented. He's done some brilliant work. What I'm not really excited about this is the Jeff Johns part of this. I think Jeff Johns spreads himself a little thin sometimes, and so like Jeff Johns, when he's focused, he's really good. Jeff Johns playing only in the Green Lantern verse, okay, but Jeff Johns doing all of these things that he's doing right now. There's a reason that the Doomsday Clock isn't on point right now. That's not meeting its release schedule, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Jeff Johns is influence on there. And so I don't know. I like the work that Jeff John has done before with Shazam. I didn't hate his new 52 stuff, but I don't even know if I can say I'm cautiously optimistic about this. I'm just like, okay, please stay on task. like just please don't try to overdo this.
I mean, we all know why it's happening, because the movie's coming
absolutely.
out and they're going to have a comic book that matches the movie, which they absolutely should do. I'm fine with Jeff Johns writing Shazam. I think it'll end up being a maxi series. It'll be 6 to 12 issues,
Probably.
and that's what it's going to. It'll be 2 story arcs, maybe 3, and that'll be that.
Yeah.
Only because they have not had a sustainable Shazam story in a long time. So the last Shazam story we had was in the back pages of Justice League New 52
Yeah.
for the first story arc. So, I mean, the more Shazam we get, the happier I am anyways. I love Shazam. So I'm excited for it. But, again, Jeff Johns can be hit or miss depending on how focused he is. So, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to read it, and I'm sure I'll enjoy it. But, I'm a fanboy. So.
Right. Yeah, touche. Speaking of fanboying, Kelly Sue DeConnick's taking over Aquaman from Dan Abnett, and it sounds like she's going to be tweaking a little bit of his origin story. I love Kelly Sue DeConnick. I love even though I hate Captain Marvel because she killed my boy Bruce Banner, I love that character, and I love what Kelly Sue DeConnick did with that character. I love her
You turned
series.
her into a man?
Oh, I hate you. I have hate in my heart. Fuck you. He did not. Stop it.
Sorry.
The internet troll came out. Get back in your hole. No, her series Bitch Planet. It's
Bitch
slow
Planet's amazing.
coming out, but when you read it all as one unit, an amazing series. So I'm excited. Someone else, this is not an original idea by Caleb, but somebody else pointed out that this is a byproduct of the Bendis influence on DC, because her and Bendis are really good friends. They both live in the same community. Their kids play together. And so this is part of him saying, "Hey, like let my friends come play too." And so we're going to see how this works out. And now there is, again, talking about release schedules and stuff. Kelly Sue DeConnick has a lot of irons in the fire as well. Her and Matt Fraction have their own production company. They're doing a lot of TV writing, a lot of movie writing, and they've largely gotten away from writing comics as a full-time thing. It's just kind of a side thing for them at this point. So I hope she doesn't treat this as a back burner project, because with Aquaman getting his own, finally getting his own movie, with Aquaman finally being seen as kind of cool and not just as kind of like a dolphin talking wimp squeaky character, I think it's time for it's a new slate for Aquaman, and they have an opportunity to do something really, really large and grand with that character. And I think Kelly Sue DeConnick has the ability and the artistry to do that, and so I hope she does. They mentioned who the artist that she was going to work with is, but I don't know him, and I don't know it off the top of my head. I'm curious. And like I said, she's tweaking with his origin a little bit. So they're going to be a space and time before he woke up with amnesia on the beach, from what I'm understanding.
We'll see.
Well,
So it's not tweaking. I don't know. It's not. They're not retconning his origin. They're just maybe adding to it or playing with some of the gray space in there.
Yeah.
Which is nothing wrong with that.
No.
Like dramatic change, you can see why longtime fans can be upset. But like you said, if it's just maybe add a new caveat into his origin,
Right,
or a little like, hey, this might fit in without ruining the character, all for it. Changes aren't necessarily bad as long as it's not like unnecessary or overly done.
For sure. Yep. All right. So Grant Morrison's coming back to the Green Lantern, and I figured Jerry is going to give a good woohoo at this point.
I mean, not
wrong?
huge,
Okay.
but Liam Sharp is the artist on
Yep.
that as well. I'm pretty stoked about it. I haven't other than the issue that I read last night, I haven't read any Green Lantern in a while. I read Green Lanterns 50 just to kind of see what that whole storyline was going to be. I might go ahead and just finish it out with that because Craig, you said that they're
Both are ending.
Yeah, they're ending Hal Jordan and Green Lanterns, and then starting the story with Grant Morrison. I'm down for it. They're going back to the space cop aspect of it, and they have quoted that they're not going to do these giant like universe changing events, which is honestly what tired me out. Like I got off of Green Lantern before Jeff Johns finished his run.
It's all it's been since Jeff Johns
It's
has
just
been
event after event after event.
not necessarily an event, but every story arc that happens has universal changing consequences,
Yeah.
but nothing changes in the universe
Yeah.
at the end of the arc. So
Right.
Like the last stuff I even read, and I ended up having to read some events, was New 52 when they did Red Lanterns.
Yeah.
When Guy became the leader
Yeah.
of the Red Lanterns. So I read that stuff, and I read the crossovers for it. But that was like really the last time I was even excited for Lantern stuff, which sucks because I really loved it when Jeff Johns started it,
Yeah.
and even Core was amazing. It got me into Guy Gardner and everything. So.
it's been very average since New 52.
Yeah.
In my opinion, Green Lantern's been a very average book, and there's been some very good writers on it, but it's been very average. So Grant Morrison's hit or miss for me. He gets a lot of love. He's also very bizarre.
Yes.
and he goes to very weird places with characters. So, I just want a good Green Lantern book.
Yep.
And if that's what we get out of this, then it's great. If it's crap
Right.
Green Lantern that I just am still collecting but not reading, then it's not, it's great.
So I'm interested. I'm down for the ride.
Yeah.
I've been needing to read more DC stuff, so
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
I miss Kyle Rayner. I want Kyle Rayner back.
Kyle Rayner's back.
Is he?
Yeah, he's in Hal Jordan and Green Lantern,
Oh, okay.
of course. Yeah.
Never mind. I don't read.
Yeah.
There are actually two other things I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
Marvel's bringing the What If series back.
Yes, they are.
Those are pretty exciting. If you don't know anything about those, look it up because they were. I mean, the ones that they have lined up now look really awesome. Just a tidbit of the ones I'm interested in. They have a Spider-Man What If where Flash Thompson instead gets bitten by the
Right.
spider and becomes Spider-Man. So I think that's going to be interesting because the version of his character that I like is like that because he idolizes Spider-Man. So it's going to be weird to see where Flash bully becomes Spider-Man. I don't think I'm gonna like it.
Well, but it's only a one issue.
But,
It's
yeah.
a single issue. That's what I love about the what ifs.
They're all solo issues, and then they've got a Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
You guys know that I love Robbie Reyes, and so they're doing a Ghost Rider what if that looks metal as fuck. And other than that, they've got a Punisher where Peter Parker decides to take vengeance out for Uncle Ben dying instead of becoming like this
Right.
harbinger of responsibility. So Peter Parker becomes the Punisher basically, but just as Spider-Man. So I thought those were pretty badass. And what if, I always loved what if. The other stuff I talked about last week. They announced that Superior Octopus title and the new Spider-Ghost title will also coming out of Spider-Geddon, which is the sequel to Spider-Verse. They have 3 new titles. There are only 3 issues apiece that are going to be showing up. And they're essentially team books. There's Spider-Force, there's Spider-Girls, and then the one that I'm most excited about is Vault of Spiders. And it's because it's Cullen Bunn writing the Japanese Spider-Man with the giant robot. And so I don't know if that gets anyone else excited, but it gets me excited.
It's Cullen Bunn,
Yeah.
so I'll definitely.
And it's only 3 issues, so I mean, Marvel's getting my money on all these like alternate versions of Spider-Man.
They're in the
Everything
Spider
like that.
Universe. I'll buy them.
Yep.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
So, but yeah, that's all I got from the comic news.
Okay, awesome. Well, then let's move on to our last little thing that happened. It happened at SDCC, and it's one of my favorite things because it's how we find out about books that I otherwise wouldn't know about. It's also a chance to get to celebrate some of the great comics of the year, and that's the Eisner Awards. They take place every year at San Diego Comic-Con. It's a celebration of some of the best works being done, and it also is a recognition of some of the heroes, some of the pillars of comics. And so they inducted a few amazing creators into the Hall of Fame. And I know, Sean, you were really excited about one of these, who is actually a mangaka.
Yeah.
A manga artist.
Longtime creator. Her name is Rumiko Takahashi. She has made numerous works, one of which is one of my favorites, and it will be a future Manga Ramen episode. Ron My Half. But she's been making books from Kamari Orange Road. I'm going to mispronounce this one. I have been since 1990. It's like Ikumasen, I believe is what it's called. But and probably the most popular for, especially in I said Jerry's age range with the whole tsunami, was Inuyasha.
Yeah.
That was a big series for her. And not one. Like I said, Ron My Half is forever my show, and I'm gonna get into it. But she's been creating manga, and her works have been adapted to anime since the mid to late 80s.
Right on.
So
well,
definitely deserving. I was super happy she got this recognition.
Yep,
Very
she's
cool.
been put in the Hall of Fame along with Charles Adams, Karen Berger, and Dave Gibbons.
Very cool.
If you go to our Facebook page, we posted a list of all of the awards that were given and who won them. Tom King and the whole Mr. Miracle crew cleaned up. My favorite thing is Monsters by Emil Ferris. Swept it. It was wonderful. So go read that. And that kind of wraps up our proxy internet coverage of San Diego Comic-Con that we've been living vicariously through here in Arkansas.
Oh yeah.
And so other things happened this week. And Craig, you should go on Lance Rants right now.
Yeah. So real quick before I start that, I've got a friend that I grew up with in California.
Yeah.
He's been at San Diego Comic-Con. He's picking me up a bunch of toys. I want to give a shout out to him.
Oh, nice.
Dave Warner. And the other thing about that is his sister, Deborah Warner, is a psychologist that has a book out, and that book is called His History, Her Story, A Survival Guide for Spouses of Male Survivors in Sexual Abuse and Trauma. And she's going to be on TED Talks coming up. So watch for her on that, and pick up that book. I think it's already on the second printing. If you're in that situation where you're living with a survivor of male abuse, a male survivor of abuse, pick up that book and give it a read. It's got a lot of good information in it. If you can, it's on Amazon. I'm sure I could probably get you a signed copy if you want one.
Right.
Just let me know. Now, as far as Lance Rants, I'm going to be short on this, but there was a very well-known director,
James Gunn.
from the MCU, that just lost his job for tweets from 10 years ago. And there are a lot of people that are trying to politicize this, and they're trying to downgrade this because they think it's a political thing. This guy thought it was funny to make jokes about raping children. He thought it was funny to make jokes about rape in general. There were 10,000 tweets that this man deleted. This is not one or two comments that he made offhand. This is a sign of who that individual is. When you make 10,000 comments offhanded, and you can say, oh, I was being an edgelord, or I don't give a shit, okay? At that point, it says something about the psychology of who you are. Now, yes, I understand that the person that went after him did it for political reasons, but as separating it from the politics, Disney cannot afford to keep somebody on staff that is talking about raping 5-year-old little boys.
Right.
They just can't. Now, putting the politics back into it, you cannot defend the firing of Roseanne Barr and in the same hand defend or come to his defense saying that he was just joking.
Yeah.
They are the same fucking thing. Roseanne said she was joking and it was uncalled for and it was wrong and she should have been fired, and she was. He says he was joking and he apologized for it. And I don't care that it was 10 years old. He was in his 40s. He knew damn well what he was doing and what he was saying. And if he didn't, he was old enough to. So I don't really care.
That's where I'm at with it. I don't care what James Gunn's politics are. I don't care what the politics of the right-wing troll that dug up all the tweets and launched a campaign against him are. I don't care what Marvel knew and when they knew it, or what Disney knew and when they knew it. I care that there were over 10,000 tweets about touching little boys.
10,000. I read 10 of them. I was sick to my stomach.
And look, if that's... His career's not over. No. He's still allowed to go make movies. If he wants to go back into making horror movies, if he wants to go back into, if they want to relaunch Trauma and that be the playground that he plays in, that's fine. Marvel is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Disney is a multi-billion-dollar industry that caters to kids, that caters to teens, that caters to families. You don't get to come out and say, even 10 years ago, that stuff sticks with us. And a lot of people have been, again, trying to jump to his defense and everything, and I just don't see the point because... The
sad part to me is they're jumping to his defense over political reasons instead of how they actually feel about what he said or did.
I just based on the tenets of what he said alone, I'm not losing any sleep that this guy's not making any Marvel movies. Plus, I hate to break it to some people, the last Guardians movie wasn't good, but that's just my opinion.
The bottom line is this, especially if you're going... in a field where you can become a public figure as directing movies, and you want to work for big companies, who wouldn't? People have a bad habit of putting every last thinking thought online, especially Twitter, when it's just so much quicker. Yes, Jerry, you're raising your hand.
Oh no, I'm stretching.
Oh. I thought you were openly admitting because you were just guilty. Internet never forgets. And, careful what you say. You ain't got to put every damn thought you want in every second you get it, because sometimes your brain doesn't filter out your words. You can come back to bite you in the ass. And I'm just saying, like, if you are trying to if you're trying to work for major companies, don't act shocked when something you said comes back to bite you.
One of the big defenses of him, Sean, you're exactly right in what you said. One of the big defenses I've read of people trying to defend him is that 6 years ago, he came forward and apologized for him. Mm-hmm. Then why did he wait another 6 freaking years to delete this shit off of his Twitter account? If he was really sorry for it then, it should have been deleted then, so that people are always going to be able to find it if they want to. That shit's, once it's out there, it's out there. But if somebody had changed their tone of who they really were, he would have went back and deleted those comments because he no longer believed them and he didn't stand behind them.
And that's a good point. But the interesting thing to me, and just before we get off of this, is that this isn't a new like a lot of people are saying, oh, it's just further censorship and we're marching towards blah, 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 blah. No, we're not. This has always been a thing. Like, it's just not ever been a thing in the public sector. People, politicians have been getting dethroned and completely undermined because of term papers they wrote in college in their 20s forever.
Yep.
From the late 1800s to now, there are examples that you can go about. People who were shoe-ins for being congressmen, shoe-ins for being senators, shoe-ins for being presidents, shoe-ins for being justices, Supreme Court justices, who have lost political empires because of some stupid shit they said in college. That's just how this shit works. Stuff always stays with you, and it doesn't matter if you change. Your words and actions still have consequences. There are tweets, there are Facebook statuses that I have put up. Caleb Alexander, you can probably go find them, that are still probably there. There are probably pretty good indications and reasons that I shouldn't be leading a flagship of a billion-dollar industry or be a major politician. They're there. I said them, and at some point you have to own them and realize, yeah, that's some shit I said, and yes, I changed, but they're still there. That's still words that came out of my mouth. And those consequences of my actions are still relevant, and they're still palpable. They still exist. It is what it is. And, like I said, the fact that this was dug up by a right-wing troll that had ulterior motives, okay, yeah, that dude's a douchebag too. I saw a tweet that he put out where he basically said date rape wasn't real. Fuck that guy. But it doesn't change the fact that Gunn said what he said when he said it, and that it was still there for all to see. That does not change. And so when you go and you make these type of comments, you maybe shouldn't be put in a position where children can idolize you.
Again, I buy the argument that he maybe has changed, but my counter to that still remains that he, even if he had changed, he left the 10,000 tweets out there for somebody to find. Yeah. If he had really changed how he felt about it, he would have went and deleted them at that point.
And I'm not going to lose sleep over this guy not having a job when he's still going to go out and make no more movies. He might not make the multi-million-dollar Disney movies, but he's going to be fine. Yeah, this dude is going to be okay. So
yeah, he didn't get blacklisted from
and there are enough people defending him that are going to give this dude work. He's going to go on to make more movies. He's going to probably make more big budget movies. He'll probably make more big budget movies that I'll go see.
Yeah,
I don't give a shit that he got fired because of things he said.
He made inappropriate humor, and the company that he works for doesn't like that kind of stuff being in there, so he got terminated from his job. As far as we know, he hasn't touched any kids, so he's going to be fine.
Well, and for me at least, I live in Arkansas. People I know and love have compared me to pedophiles for being gay. Yeah. So that always, I have a kind of a no tolerance policy for that kind of stuff, because it does bug me that that I get compared to this truly despicable thing just for the fact that I love a very mature, furry man. And yet, apparently, straight dudes can just make edgy jokes about chimos and just laugh it off as, oh, it's just a ha-ha. Oh, no, fuck you, dude.
Yep.
People have to live with this shit.
Yep.
So, anyway, I'm not worried about it. Let's talk about comics.
Yeah, let's
talk about comics that came out this week.
We have a fan question.
Oh, we do have a fan question. Good catch. So, our fan and friend and listener, Tyler, reached out to us on the Facebooks, and he asked us what some of our favorite comic book rivalries are. And I asked him if it would be okay for us to talk about it on the show, and he said for sure. So, Tyler May, thank you for your awesome question. And since you reminded me of this, Sean, why don't you kick us off and start with yours?
Well, one of my favorite rivalries has always been the love triangle, I guess you could say, between Jean Grey, Wolverine, and Cyclops.
Yeah. Oh, good one. Good one.
It's I'm not, especially in my Heroes in Tights comics, I don't usually like when they go into that. But it's always been that interesting because Cyclops has always been the very confident, at times asshole-ish leader of the X-Men. And keep in mind, this is my knowledge this is the 90s era, because that's when I was really reading the X books. I don't know if anything's been adjusted since. But he's always been
dead now.
Oh, that does that puts a hamper on the rivalry.
But he's also a child.
Actually, both of them are currently dead.
But it was always that thing of Wolverine, for a short little hairy man, the women love him. And Cyclops always accepted that. But when Wolverine started kind of putting them eyes towards Jean, it was always like that. Even though I don't think, at least in my era of reading it, she never really reciprocated those kind of feelings. But there was that doubt.
They were there. They were there.
There was that doubt.
But she was just dedicated.
Right. And she loved her some Cyclops.
Yeah.
And even though Cyclops knew that, it kind of showed that very human aspect of the stout leader who was just I know exactly what we're doing at all times, but always there was always that little bit of doubt.
Well, and he did some shady things to Wolverine because of it. Yeah. He made him part of X-Force, his killing machine.
Yep.
Really?
Sent him on the jobs to go kill people that he wouldn't do because he didn't want to get his hands dirty.
Right.
So it became a kind of almost King David type thing where he would send Wolverine out to the front lines to maybe die so he would leave.
So there's always been that. Like, so Wolverine and Cyclops worked together
That's a
many
very
times,
good one.
never liked
Absolutely.
each other, and it was always that kind of that love triangle.
Yeah.
Alternate rivalry, which is more of a funny one, is Gambit versus Rogue's powers. He hates them so much. Although I
Yes.
know now they are Mr. and Mrs. X. But yes.
Mine is I actually have two. First one is Batman and Joker, just because that's an obvious one.
Yeah.
They are the opposites but counterplay off of each other. The other one is Flash and Reverse Flash.
Okay.
Because, I mean, the dichotomy between the two. Reverse Flash, in his own way, thinks he's doing right by teaching Barry these lessons, but of course he's just, a straight up turd. But
I may have misunderstood the question. Like, I kind of, at least in the way I
No,
kind
they
of
could-
interpret
I
it.
think
could be
rivalries
rivalry.
could be
it could be
between
interpreted both
two
ways.
heroes.
Yeah, I thought about it.
Because like my mind went straight to like we work together, but it's that
Yeah.
competition between the
Right.
two. And,
I mean,
like,
yeah,
you went
it's
straight to
both.
versus rivalry.
No, I think
may think of another one
it's
as all.
either-
Now that
it's
I'm thinking of
either-
that
yeah.
direction, I might think of my favorite hero.
I mean,
villain
is-
rivalry. I didn't think of it like that.
No, yeah.
Okay,
I
sorry.
think it could be
Continue. Didn't mean
interpreted
that. Like,
both ways.
it's kind of like, oh yeah, I guess that is a way to look at rivalry. I'm used to the anime manga,
Yeah.
Bakugo Midoriya rivalry. They're not enemies. They fucking hate each other.
is, as far as, within the superhero community, it would probably be like Guy Gardner and Bruce Wayne.
Damn it,
Okay.
you
Right,
took mine.
right.
Did I?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I had a second one.
Well,
It's
go
all
ahead.
good. Well, it was kind of funny because it's a rivalry to Guy Gardner, but Batman just does not give
Yeah.
a shit.
Yeah.
And like they had that issue of JLA where like Guy Gardner finally said like he pulled the last straw and Batman just fucking one-shotted him and knocked
Right.
his ass out. But they had a scene from Green Lantern Corps Recharge. And it's the first time I ever really even knew that there was a rivalry between them. And like they were at the Watchtower, and Guy was like sticking his ass on the Watchtower window, like mooning. And he said something about bats, like "See you later, bats," and it had a heart or whatever. And it was just fucking hilarious. Mine though is actually a little more current, and it's the rivalry between Ben Reilly and Kane. They're both clones of Peter Parker. And it's kind of funny because Kane, he was dying and deteriorating because he was an imperfect clone. After Spider Island happened, he basically got a new lease on life, became the new Scarlet Spider, and ended up having to step up to a role of being a hero. Though he was a hero in Houston, it was a little weird, but overall the story was pretty badass. And then you had Ben Reilly, who had been dead for a while, that came back during that last Clone Saga that they did. So he had a new lease on life too, and he had his whole plan thwart. Well, in the series that he just had, Ben Reilly was trying to figure out what he was going to do next, and Kane ended up finding him. So they've been having this whole back and forth, and it's funny with Kane trying to teach him to be a good guy, even though Kane's like not wanting to be a good guy
Right.
himself. But it's just kind of a funny little thing between them two.
All right.
Uh,
I haven't read much of the Spider stuff.
I've
Spider Island stuff.
been buying all the back issues for Ben Reilly lately. It's really
So I
great.
was thinking about this after we got the question yesterday, and I was going back in my mind about what some of the biggest tension creation rivalries are, and I can't think of one that creates more tension than Ant-Man, Hank Pym, and Ultron.
Yeah.
Ultron is one of my favorite Avengers villains, just in general, but Hank Pym created him to do good, and then the robot, the android, gained sentience, but he also, in that, there's some of this, I created my own monster, kind of Frankenstein kind of thing. But it also led to a whole lot more tension down the line. Ultron created Vision, who was based off of Simon Williams' brainwaves. Both of those characters fell in love with Wanda. It created this whole family dynamic, even with the Grim Reaper that brought in a ton of tension just based in that little thread alone. And so, yeah, Ultron, Hank Pym. Rivals
it's a good
foe
one.
ever, and also Hank Pym and Good Decisions, probably also rivals.
It's a good one.
So now can we talk about comics?
I feel like we've been talking about comics for 4 hours.
I
now.
think we have, but
All damn day.
it's only been 2 hours. So we are coming close on the time. So we might want to try to like speed round through this just in
Mine's
general.
going to be
'cause-
super quick.
So let's do this. Let's get smothered, covered, and comic. Craig, what'd
All
you read
right,
this week?
so I'm actually doing Darth Vader Annual #2. It's a Marvel book. It's written by Chuck Wendig, who actually does a lot of the, maybe it's Windage.
Well, if he mispronounced your name, feel free to come on this podcast and fight us about it, sir.
He does a lot of Star Wars novels, so I don't know if he came on just to write this one issue of Darth Vader. Its art is by Leonard Kirk, inked by Walden Hong and Scott Hanna, and colors by Nolan Woodard. I don't normally read a lot of annuals, but what drew me in on this one, number one, it's Darth Vader, but what drew me in on this one is that it actually takes place around the events of Rogue One, but shortly after the events of Revenge of the Sith. So as the Death Star is getting built, Vader goes to Scarif to find the plans because he finds out that Tarkin's working on this special project. Tarkin shows up and says, "Hey, you're not allowed to look at these." And Vader says, "Unless you're the Force, I don't have to listen to you." And Tarkin says, "Well, how about this?" and pulls out a deal and calls the Emperor. And the Emperor says, "You work for Tarkin now," which explains why Vader's kind of Tarkin's lapdog in Star Wars, and sends Vader to go find out why it's being sabotaged. We find out that the Death Star is actually being built on Geonosis, which is the planet with all the little bug things from the prequels. Vader, of course, has his memories of that's his first kiss with Padme while he's there, and so you kind of get this flashback to he pictures himself battling in the droids that he's picturing himself as Anakin, so it's kind of this struggle between him, and then he just becomes ruthless as fuck.
Wow.
And he finds who's been sabotaging the Death Star, and to quote him, which was him quoting himself from Attack of the Clones, he said, "I wiped them out. They were animals."
Wow.
So, yeah, so it's Vader being just absolutely ruthless, but it also explained and filled in some details, and not everything has to be explained, but it's fun sometimes when it is explained.
Yeah, for sure. Those little moments make up the expanded universe. They just make it. They give so much texture to it.
Yeah.
So I read something a little bit more lighthearted this week. Mine was the Marvel Rising Squirrel Girl and Ms. Marvel #1, and this one actually came out of a Zero issue that came out not too long ago. Really, really fun little book. I'd call it all ages. So if you've got kids and you want to read this, you pick it up for them. So it's written by Ryan North, G. Willow Wilson, and Devin Grayson, and it's drawn by Irene Strelichowski and Ramon Box. Sean, please.
Strelichowski, if he mispronounced your name, please feel free to come on this podcast and fight us about it.
So this comic basically puts a spotlight on Doreen Green, who is the Squirrel Girl, and Kamala Khan, who is Miss Marvel. And actually, in this story, Miss Marvel is taking a computer programming class being taught by Doreen Green. And as is wont to do, it would not be a good comic if these two characters got together and there wasn't a bad guy. So there's another student in this class who has this power where she is like pulling creatures out of video games and setting them loose on the world. And she's kind of this angsty character. You find out she is actually an Inhuman, but it's just a really funny, really lighthearted romp. With these two characters, I love them. I love Squirrel Girl. I love Miss Marvel. They're both really, really fun characters. This book kind of gave me everything I want out of this type of comic. It was adventurous. Lots of Squirrel Girl jokes. Lots of pop culture references. Lots of fan service with Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel is she's not only just a superhero. She's a fan of superheroes.
Yeah.
So there's these moments where she's like, "Oh my God, I'm with Squirrel Girl."
Just
and Squirrel Girl's,
fangirling.
yeah, and Squirrel Girl's just like, "Hey, I know who you are." And so kind of spoilers in this. There is a moment where they figure out each other's secret identities. So that's the book that this happens in.
Nice.
So it's now canon that Doreen
They're besties.
knows that Kamala is Miss Marvel, and vice versa. It's also really interesting in this book. At the bottom of each page, on the outside of the panels, there are little commentary and jokes printed along the edges of it that you might miss if you're not looking for it because it's really small print. It's hilarious. It is. I'm guessing it's either Ryan North or G. Willow Wilson writing it in. Really, really funny. Just, what we call dad jokes, just jokes that are really kind of corny and funny. This book is filled with it. Chitty Chit is rad. There are giant robots. There is a giant chicken that runs amok. There are jokes that relate back to Final Fantasy. And at the end of the
Thank
story,
you for a Final Fantasy reference.
I know, right? I thought it was cool. At the end of the story, it does leave off to add more, but they end up beating the bad guy. They realize this bad guy is also a young person who is acting out, who is scared, who has developed new powers that she doesn't understand. And they offer their services. They're good heroes, and they become friends, and they go back to class. So go nuts, to quote
Awesome.
on this.
That sounds like a fun book.
It was really cute.
Awesome. My book of the week this time is Runaways number 11.
Okay.
It's been a continuing developing story ever since they brought Gertrude back from the dead. A big part of this is her just really coming to terms that, she died at 16. They brought her back. She was still 16. And everyone else has grown up, been Avengers, gone on a bunch of Avengers. So it's been a look at a view from her point of feeling like the outsider now that she's still the only one that's still a kid outside of Molly, of course. Good interaction with Doombot coming back to help Victor get a new body. Unfortunately, it's a weaponized body. You see a very emotional breakdown on Victor's side about dealing with that. And the other little part that really made me enjoy the book was a throwback to the Joss Whedon run they did, where they went back to 1907 and found a girl with a power to talk to plants named Clara, who was a child bride and married to a piece of shit, and they brought her back. They kind of showed a flashback earlier than what the events of the rest of the book took place in, where when they were collecting all the runaways, they went to get her from her foster care. And she was actually happy, even with people who weren't her family, and like something they really didn't get it, but it was a very good scene about how like she's still happy. And considering where she's come from, it was very touching.
Right.
It's just a very good book on a series that's, I admit, started off slow, but it's picking up steam. I'm really enjoying the Runaways now.
Very cool, man.
My book this week was Old Man Hawkeye number 7. I actually just got caught up in it before this issue came out. It takes place before Old Man Logan, Mark Millar's Old Man Logan, before Hawkeye goes blind. Writer Ethan Sachs, artist Abram Robertson, artist Marco Cicchetto, colorist is Andre Massa. They actually had 2 artists because it was a flashback issue, so 1 through 19 was Abram Robertson, and then the regular artist is Marco Cicchetto, and he did the last page. So the whole synopsis of this series is Hawkeye's been going and seeking revenge on the Thunderbolts because they betrayed him on a mission. You know how we had that issue of Old Man Logan where we saw, the whole change in how he got defeated? This is that issue for Old Man Hawkeye.
Okay, gotcha.
So we see 2 big Avengers die in it, and then they basically just beat the shit out of Clint, and then they don't kill him. And they're like, well, why don't we kill him? And they're like, are you kidding? All the real superheroes are already dead.
Wow.
And it's just
Clint.
him basically.
He gets no respect.
It's him rethinking on that after all this other shit has happened, and he's sitting at a fire with Kate Bishop after some crazy shit just happened with some Venom symbiotes, multiple man clones, and a T-Rex, and It was fucking wild. But one of my favorite things about these series has always been like seeing the future, like fucked up dystopian versions of characters. They've had multiple of the Thunderbolts in it. They had Bullseye's been chasing him around because he's working underneath Red Skull, or Her Skull as they're calling him now, and he's got like a Deathlock implant on him. And he was originally chasing Hawkeye and then went rogue, so they decided like we have to send something better, after Bullseye. And it ended up like the last page of the last issue was them having the Winter Soldier that they're going to send after Bullseye. Wow. But there's only 5 issues left, so I've really been loving it. It's been a badass series.
The art in that book has been really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
It's great. Like I said, really been enjoying it. Was not expecting anything out of it.
Wow, so y'all took me at my word and y'all powered through that. That was fast. So since that was so fast, are there any honorable mentions from this past week that...
Deathbed ended really well. Infidel,
I didn't get a copy of it. It must have came in after.
It came in on Thursday, I believe.
Gotcha.
Gideon Falls
better be in
was
my box.
amazing.
Gideon Falls was really
fantastic.
Y'all said that in sync. That was cute.
It was so good. They only, I think, have one more issue for this story arc. So, looking forward to that.
I had a hard time finding a book this week, to be honest. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm actually there with you. Millar's run on Kick-Ass is ending, so I'm excited for the next issue with the new writer.
I thought it ended fairly well.
The ending was a lot better, but like I said, all the problems, which I don't think either one of us mentioned, the just so obvious writing flaw. Like, I understand you. I don't care how dumb your criminal organization is.
Yeah.
No one fills balloons for a party with nitrous oxide because they couldn't find helium, and they're all going to be smoking cigarettes anyway. That was not a clever way for her to break out. That was shit writing.
Yeah, it was.
Mark Millar, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was.
Wow, that was lazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, but now he's done, so I'm looking forward to the next writer.
Yeah,
But
Lemire's
you did
taking
use a
it
fat
over.
No, Lemire's doing Hit Girl.
Hit Girl.
Hit Girl. Okay. So
Another writer who I can't think of off the top of my head right now is taking over Kick-Ass, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do with it.
But she did use a fat guy to land on to break her fall.
And that's what we're good for.
so I'm not through my week's books yet, so I'm sure there's some that I'm gonna read that I'm gonna be really in love with. I've still got to read Avengers. I still have to read. There's a few.
Avengers 5 was great.
Hulk number 3, I think I've still got to read. So,
Both of those were pretty good. Weapon H was really good, actually.
Weapon
now that
H,
I'm
I
thinking
did read
about it.
Weapon H. That was really good. A few of the DC books I read this week were okay. There wasn't anything that I just really loved. But I did finish catching up on Arrow Season 4, and that was fun. And then my power went out for 2 days. So that's been a living hell.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
But now we're here, and I'm happy. So
Good thing we don't record at your house.
The other thing that came out this week, and I mentioned it as they were coming out, but now it's out and you can go buy it. My Hero Academia Vigilantes.
yeah.
The first volume has come out. It's now the official print for those of us that have been reading online, just as guilty.
I think Jerry gave it a thumbs up, too.
He
right?
did give it a
Yeah.
thumbs up.
It's-
It's an amazing. It's a spinoff, but it's got all the same heart and quality of the main series of My Hero Academia. Go buy it.
The thing about manga is a lot of people are going to read it online because you don't want to wait till it comes out in American format. But go buy it if you're supporting it. Buy it out when it does come out.
Put your money on the things you love. That way
Yep.
it stays going.
Absolutely.
So let's get ahead of ourselves a little bit, guys. What's coming out next week that we want to read? Let's see. I'll kick this off. I actually want to read Action Comics number 1001. It's coming out. We've gotten the first Brian Bendis Superman book. Now this is the first Brian Bendis Action Comics that's going to be coming out with art by Patrick Gleason. So
Yeah.
I've enjoyed the Dan Jurgens run on Action. Was hit and miss on Man of Steel. Haven't read Superman number 1 yet, but I've heard good things, and so now I'm excited to read Action Comics.
Awesome.
Quantum Age number 2 has been
Okay.
mine. And then Infinity War starts next week. And I know little to nothing of how that's going to go, but the previews that they've been selling me on it.
countdown,
Yeah, so I'm going to end up picking that up, I'm sure.
Teen Titans number 20, the new team that Damien's putting together without the permission of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman.
You don't need no permission.
He don't need it. He's tired of dealing with their ways, apparently. He got very frustrated after going to space and fighting giant monsters.
So he basically just said "fuck Batman" and started a
No.
Damien
Damien can do it.
Yeah.
Side note, Savage Dragon is going to have a special about all those little kids kicking some ass, apparently. And I can't wait for that.
Nice. I'm going to go a little different. I had Action Comics on here as well, but
I'm sorry.
no, it's all right. I had a backup because I figured somebody else would say Action. I'm going to go a little different. I'm going to do a collected edition, 10th anniversary, Volume 1 hardcover for all of you horror porn fanatics out there. Crossed
Oh, Jesus Christ.
is coming out. So a hardback collected edition. So if you haven't read it,
That Garth Ennis good.
it's a limited
My
edition.
wallet's crying because I can't afford to buy it right now.
And it
My
is a
God.
limited
I would
edition
get
version of it. Yeah, it's straight up horror porn. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. But it's a guilty pleasure.
Nice.
So, yeah,
Well, I look forward to another.
I
week
would
of
tell you
reading
who
books,
the
man.
writer was on it, but there's 80 probably on
Right.
it. So
Yeah, this is going to be a fun week for comics. We ready to bring this thing home?
Yep.
Ready to do this? All right, out there in Radio Land, we really hope that you have liked what you heard, and if you had, you can join us again next time because we're coming back same bat time, same bat channel to do this thing all over again. You can also find us on Instagram, and you can also find us on Twitter at SFG Podcast on both of those. You can join us on our Facebook page where we are the Southern Fried Geekery Podcast, and we're posting links to news. We're talking about the books we read. We're posting pictures. We're taking questions. We're talking about stuff with you. We're just doing a whole lot. If you have any questions, concerns, or comments that you don't want to put on social media, send them to our email. It's southernfriedgeekery@gmail.com. And before we get off here, you remember at the beginning of the episode where I said that we are recording on Sunday. San Diego Comic-Con is actually still happening right
Yeah.
now, and there was going to be news that would break.
Yeah.
Well, they just announced that the Silencer is coming to DC's Arrow
Oh,
on
nice.
TV. So now we all need to go get
now
caught
I've
up
got to
on
get caught up
Arrow.
on Arrow because
Well,
I love the
Yeah,
silencer.
I was going to have to because of Batwoman, but now we have to. So yeah, Patch Zurcher, who's a
Thanks, DC.
yeah, who's a friend and a really good artist, just put that out on his Twitter feed, and that makes me happy. So, Sean, what you got, brother?
One last thing, and always a reminder, if you got any friends that you want to listen to this podcast, but they're all like, I don't like looking up iTunes and downloads, we have a YouTube channel now that everyone can get on easily on any device, system, or platform.
Yep.
So make sure you let them know they can watch on YouTube if that's their preferred medium.
And share it. Share it on your social media pages. That way, everybody can join in the fun.
Yep.
And, tell us how crappy we are at doing this. So,
Yeah.
We love
joking.
it.
We're awesome. I'm
no,
kidding.
No,
So,
tell
other
us.
than that, guys, go forth and love some comics.
Yay.